Okay, welcome to Tuesday's Hoof Chat. Today we're going to be looking at some different ways of corrective trimming of what goes on in the foot when one heel is trimmed out more than the other. And on our group, we have a uh, perfect example of this. So let's hold on here. Okay, close that. Now we're going to share. Okay, just a minute here. Let me open up some pictures. Let me get on the group because that's where we can really see it. So hold on. Take me a second to log into Facebook. Since my Google has decided it doesn't want to provide me with my passwords anymore, now I have to remember them all and type them in. I don't know how this stuff happens on these computers. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, log in. Oh, and then I don't know if anybody saw a post on my Facebook page. I share one picture of myself back when I was like in my 30s with my mother and my brother getting married, and some pile of human dung takes that picture and opens up a Facebook account with my name on it. Tick totally torqued me. Let's see here. Yeah, well, Facebook, you're flat out lying to me. And then Facebook's doing weird stuff too. Let's see. See, something else weird going on too. And that is that sometimes, like, I know that I am using my correct password to get into Facebook, and sometimes it won't let me in. So
Same
that it
here,
really,
and sometimes not even into my computer.
really.
Yep.
Mm,
And sometimes when I'm trying to pay bills online, same thing.
it's just who knows. Okay, what the heck? This is just ultimately weird stuff going on here. Okay, I finally got in, so maybe it'll let me in. Let's see. Okay, just a second. Now I got to find you all again and do a share. Okay, so let me get down here to this one post. Okay, it's this post right here. And anyway, we got into it. She says, Dear team, would you give me some advice on how to improve the hooves of my horse? I map them nearly every week. The heel is nearly 2 inches. My horse wears 23/7 hoof, hoof shoes. They are very bound and I am soaking for weeks. Should I remove more coronary band from the frog? Uh, More coronary band from the frog. Oh, I see what she's saying. Where to find more information. All right, so we're going to take a look at these feet and One thing we're going to see is that I'm going to have her really clean out some of this sole. I mean, that's a lot of sole. As long as you have all this much buildup of sole, your foot is going to have a really hard time moving very much. But also, she does have a lot of binding. I mean, you can see by, she says she's soaking it. Well, you can see where the bulbs are coming clear down under the foot right there and how the bulbs have been wrapped around. And one sign of that is when you see this bend in the hoof. Yeah, be paying attention to that on all these people that are now, starting hoof businesses and trimming the heels out of everything they touch. And they're going to show you progression pictures. You're going to start to see the heels bend like this right here. Why is that? Because the whole foot is bending and curling around and curling in. And now look at here. This foot here, this heel here is bent, but look how this heel is totally contracted in towards the frog. So, okay, so here we can really see, as I was looking at, this is what I noticed first. Okay, I did notice the sole build up on the other one, but also here the imbalance that's going on. So what's going on here is that this heel is trimmed out more and it will keep being trimmed out more, except here intact because we actually measure the heels from the hairline to here. These heels don't get trimmed out as much as they would if people are sighting down the foot. Because when they sight down the foot, here, I'll show you what happens. Let me open this. Okay. Open file. Okay, let me change it over. Okay, where are you? Oh, there you are. I gotta reteach myself how to do this every single time. Okay, hold on here. Share. Okay, so I took a copy of this. So uh, now imagine setting that on the ground. Okay, look at how high the hairline is up here on this side compared to over here on this side. So we're going to take this. Let me see here. I'll get a picture of it. Hold on. With the snag it, and I'm going to put it in paint. I'm going to show you what I did and how it worked out, which it worked out pretty cool. And then after I did it, um, uh, I got a living example of the very thing that I was seeing here. Let's see. Okay, so okay, new. Okay, so I got to take this picture. So I have a screenshotter thing that I can also do markups in that Snagit gives. Oops, wait a minute. Let me stop and move all this stuff out of the way. Okay, so we're going to take a picture right here. Oops, what is going on? Okay, do it again. So I take a screenshot off of that in this program I've got called Snipping Tool that comes with Snagit, which is an editor, photo editor, and it also takes video, by the way. And so I'm going to take and I'm going to copy that and I will open Paint. Open Paint. Now I'm going to go to Paint right here. Okay, so we're in Paint. So now I'm going to take a copy of that. I love what they have done to Paint in that you can remove the background now. Okay, so this is too big. I don't want it this big, so I'm going to reduce it halfway. So on that, I just left click and it opens this box and I get resize here like that. And then I can just go up here and I want it to be 50%. See, I want it to be smaller. And then right underneath here, can you see this little box here? Okay. It's got this thing right here, remove background. How handy is that? See, and if you want to, then you can even go up here to where there's a little paint can and you can click on that. And I got black and I could make give it a black background so that it would stand out more. Uh, what do you think makes it look? You see it better there or there? I'm waiting for feedback.
I like the white just because I'm used to it.
Okay,
I
Me
also
too.
like the white.
Right.
okay, okay. So here we have the picture. Now, unfortunately, and I wish they would add this, uh, they don't have. Uh, you can rotate it, but only in four directions. You can't like like circle it, that kind of rotation. So what I do is I'm gonna snag another picture of it here. Or well, I don't even have to use that. I can just use paint. So I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna go up here to the little square thing, and I'm going to take a square of it there and do copy. And then if I go down here, I have this program called Snagit Editor. I'm going to open Snagit Editor, which takes a little bit. There we go. Now let me share that. Okay, so now I'm in Snagit Editor. Now this is what I did from yesterday. So I'm going to clear it out. Now, when you open Snagit Editor, okay, like if I go up here to file and it says new, open new image right there, you want to open it where it's got this checkered background because then the background will be clear instead of like you can get different backgrounds, different colors, whatever background you want. You can have this plain white, however you want it, but I want it with the checkered because I don't want it to show up, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So, oops, that wasn't it. Okay. So now I'm going to paste this foot in there. Now, what I want to do now, first of all, if we set the foot like level like that, okay, you're going to really see how the hairline is, let's see, the hairline is clear over here, right there, and right there. See, I mean, that's quite an imbalance, wouldn't you say? And so, and that would be your horse's setting level here. Well, not even quite. I mean, I think I have this side a little lower or something like that. But here, if we were to measure the heels, they're the same length. The heels are the same length, but obviously there's some distortion going on that's different on this side from this side. And this side is the lateral side over here. And so this is a side that is actually trimmed out more, even though this looks like a real heel. Really, we got kind of false heels on both sides. And so what we're going to do here, I'm going to undo that and go back to square one like so. Okay. So what I want to do is it you wouldn't think that you would want to take this heel lower. I mean, because look, they're both about the same length. Just a minute here. Let me get a different color so I can see better. So from here to here and see pretty close. Well, and what you got to do is you got to do this number. That's that one. And this is this one. See how they look same length? Yet this one here is more trimmed out, which pulls the whole bulb down and pulls it forward and pushes the hoof wall out that way. Meanwhile, your foot is only so big, right? Imagine a circle and it's only one size, and I take half of that circle and I pull it this way. What's going to happen here? Okay. What's it do? It takes this side and it pulls it in like this. If I'm taking this side here and I'm pulling it out like so, well, it's going to take this side over here, as I said, and pull it in like that. So, and in reality, what's happening is the capsule itself is being twisted. There's a twist in it. Just like you put a twist, like when you grade lumber, you want a nice flat level 2x4. You come up there and you look down on it, it would never set flat because it would be twisted. And so where it's going to twist, going around this way, is right in the center of the toe, too. Just a minute. It's going to tweak it. Okay? Like if you had trying to figure out how to describe it. Like if you have you're you're holding, I don't know, a piece of plastic book, something in both your fists, and you're holding it level, but you take one fist and you turn it counterclockwise, and you take the other fist that's holding the other end of the object and you turn it clockwise. You've twisted that thing in your hand. You've twisted it. Okay, well, that's what's happening to this hoof capsule. It's literally being twisted. So, anyway, so then it causes this situation going on here. I mean,
Linda,
so yeah,
can I before we go on, can I ask you, maybe you are going to discuss it, but in this situation, what is going on in the front and laterally and medially?
yeah, well,
Because
because
maybe because it's all funny, I wanted to discuss the same kind of topic today.
all right.
Because I have been pondering about it, and I have quite a few horses with feet like that.
Mm-hmm.
And on the right side of the picture, I don't know, maybe it's good if you put lateral and medial. This is
Okay. Okay, this is the lateral over here,
okay, lateral.
and
Okay,
this is the medial.
so that horse probably will be towed in,
Yeah, I
right?
think, yeah, yeah,
So on the medial side, the toe quarters will be running forward more.
yeah.
So on the medial side, the tubules at the toe quarters and the quarters probably will be jammed up and running forward at a lower angle than on the lateral side.
See, what I see is it goes like this. It twists it, pushes this forward, and it goes around like that, pushing everything in that direction, you know, over to here. Um, and then it tweaks the whole thing. So I'm trying to picture in my mind, I got a thing here. If I knew where it was, I could bend it.
I
Ah,
remember you had the plastic thingy.
yeah. So let's
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
here. Okay, so when just in my hand here, and no guarantee that it's doing it right, but I'm holding this in my hand. Okay, if I, that's interesting. Okay, so I hadn't never done this with it before, but you know how I was just describing, like if you had even a ruler or something flexible in your hand that's say at least 12 inches long and 2 or 3 inches wide, and you're holding it in your hands, you got your fists, you're holding each side of it, your hands are separated, holding the ends of it. Now, if I take my left fist representing the lateral side there in the picture, and I bend it my fist down, it lifts the the lateral toe up. but it automatically bends the medial toe down. And there's a this thing has a line in the front that shows how uh how it's straight, how what the center of the foot would be. And so I'm looking at it now. I'm going to have to figure out a way to put this on video. I'm looking at it now, and of course I have it the thing spread out, so it's not like it's the shape of the hoof capsule uh exactly, but it still is. It looks like, the stealth bomber. You know, when you take the shape of the hoof capsule and you flatten it out. And so when I pull down, it pushes that lateral toe out. It bends the medial toe down. And it takes the horn tubule that was straight and moves it towards the medial side. This is what I'm seeing here. So now this is what I'm going to do. So that actually made my medial toe. Too bad I don't have a GoPro attached to my head. So what happens now if I decide to lower my medial side? Oh, well, it pushes the whole cliff capsule back around. How about that? So, and this is what uh uh I saw in real time, that if you take and you lower, even though these are the same height. Okay, well, wait a minute. Let me undo that. Okay, even though technically from here to here and from here to here are the same, we know that they're not, because in reality, this it's in reality. Okay, wait a minute. See the difference? Just a minute. Let me move this down. Let me get it level. This is the reality of the foot itself and the capsule. Even though, because when we're looking at these feet and we're sighting them, we're just looking at this here. Oh yeah, heels are the same length. Our eyes are drawn away from the reality of how the hairline is actually clear up here over here and right here. There is, the hoof wall is this long here and this long here. There's no way that any of that's balanced, you know? And so, but here's the thing. Let me undo all this. What I did was, let's go back to paint just a second here. Now I'm lost. Hold on. Stop, share. Okay, so we're going to go back to paint. Okay, so here we are in paint. And so I'm going to take a copy of that. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to put it over here. And just a second, we'll make this bigger. So we got more whiteboard. And I'm going to flip that over. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Just a minute here. I reversed them. Just a minute here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to move it away a little bit. And going to flip it over. I did it again. Rotate. Did I do that right? Just a minute here.
It looks like the reverse image, Linda.
Okay, I don't want that. It gets too confusing. Let me redo it. Um, yeah, okay, I've got the same thing here. It's getting, I'm being confused. Okay, let's just flip it up like that. Okay. Okay, so we see here um that now this, you see how doing that even that makes this side look long. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, you wouldn't think you would take this side lower, right? But what I'm going to do is I am going to take it lower. So I'm just going to take, just a minute here, about so much lower, which would amount on a real foot to about a fourth of an inch there. Okay, now I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it back over. Oops, that isn't what I wanted to do. Just a second here. Okay, so I want it to be that again. Let's see. Rotate. Okay, I need to. Okay, so now you see I've got it, but it's shorter. You wouldn't think you would take it shorter, right? Okay, but you got to remember you got a living horse with a living foot in there. So hold on here. Let me move some stuff around. This over here. Okay, so now we're gonna paste this down here to show that and do another one here. Just a second, move some stuff. Now, you got to remember this is a living horse and this moves. This part up here moves. And we already see how it's shoved up, right? Okay. So what I did, and again, we're going to see this in real time on a living horse really doing it. Uh, just a second. Okay, so I'm just going to take this side of the foot. Well, here, let's put a line up here first. Just a second. Here, we're going to put a line up here. Okay, right there. So you know that everything here is flexible, right? We can look at this side now and really see how jammed up it really is. I mean, way up. So so I thought, well, I was going to try this, and I had not done this before. I thought, so what would happen if I actually trimmed the horse like this and I took that heel down? Well, this half of the foot would have to settle. Oops, wait a minute. Would have to settle down like so, which this kind of made it way lower and stuff. But to get the idea, see, that might have been, I might have taken off a little too much there. But the point is that this side then has to settle down like that. And then I took and I just kind of raised that up like so. This is what would happen to the horse's foot. Okay, but now, even though you kind of see this like this, you got to remember this side's pushed in, right? Okay, but now look at this. Here's where the wall is here, and see how much closer it is over here. So what is that going to do? It's, and when I did this to my horse, Years ago, when I had the very asymmetrical foot with the wide side on the lateral and the narrow over here and the wall jammed up here, but lower over here, it everything loosened up. This side got wider. It pushed everything about, and what I can see is it'll also help push your heel back over here. And it'll take this, if you consider the front wall, we're not looking at the front wall, but it's on the other side of here, right? You go straight through, you're going to wind up to your dorsal wall. Well, when this heel gets pushed forward, okay, that dorsal wall, let's say this is the lateral side here, gets shoved like that. And you'll see the horn tubules are crooked. And so this is the medial, let's say this is medial, this is lateral, and uh, the heel on the lateral side is pushed forward, trimmed out more. It's pushed all the horn tubules forward and over slightly. It's going to be like this all the way around. And so when you lower this other heel more, more than the measurement shows for, okay, what it does is it gets this side to then push back around this way and put pressure this way, which will start pushing this heel back as well. As well, everything loosens up on here on this side, and the foot will start to come out like that more. So it just does something to kind of retweak everything. Um, so I I made an illustration of what I was seeing. Let's go back to the research page. Just a second here. Do 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 do. Okay. Reshare. Hold on. Oops. Wait a minute. Um. Okay. So we're back here. So I made this thing like what I just did there, and look at all these comments. That's awesome. And let's get down here. Well, the first thing I saw was this deal. Well, okay. Again, you got to look at uh, our standard oh God, what is the word I'm looking for? Proportional illustration on the basic proportions of the hoof capsule and foot, which are more like this, what I've drawn out here. And so that's the first thing I noticed was that this side is lacking hoof wall, that all this needs to be grown in to where eventually it will raise this whole cartilage up here and add more capsule to the foot back here. Okay, um, so let's go down here to where I can find, okay. So I wrote this. I wrote this above. We have talked about this before. Yes, this is sure common. What we're seeing here. It said I had that on all 4 feet because when one heel is more trimmed out, it removes more buttress, which because the buttress stabilizes the wall. So if you remove a lot of the buttress, then the wall is destabilized on that side. It will push forward, bulge out wider, push around, and this side winds up getting pulled over. And I said, so the heel and bulb get pulled down and forward, pushing the wall out to look like a flare. Well, this then pulls the other side over and makes it narrower. I mean, this is a common occurrence that many of us have dealt with. What's worse is that the side that is trimmed out more and now pulled down and wider also, when you pick the foot up, looks like it's higher. So you just keep lowering it and lowering it and lowering it. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. When you set down the heels, something which makes you trim it down more, but in truth, it is lower. But since it pulls the foot down and tweaks a foot, twists the foot and the capsule, but since it pulls the foot down and forward, it only looks higher. So you have this real imbalance. And the answer is to stop taking the wide side down, even though it looks higher, and instead measure and take what looks like the low side and the narrow side down up to a fourth of an inch. So it says, at least this worked for me, and it loosened up that side and helped the whole foot straighten out. And believe me, for a long time, I kept taking that lateral side down because it was looked higher and just got worse and worse. I had very, very asymmetrical feet. And you see this in history, in horseshoes, where in these old horseshoe collections, they have these horseshoes that are way wide on the lateral side and way narrow on the medial side because the horseshoer kept looking down at the heels and that trimmed outside because it was pulling the foot down. When you pick up the foot, it looks higher. And so they kept thinking it was higher. They kept trimming it out and trimming it out and trimming it out. And they kept having to make horseshoes that were wider and wider and wider on that side. Um, so this happened to my horse. And this was the reason in my head that looking at it, I needed to take that side down as well. There's a guy by the name of Michael Savoldi who who's a pretty famous farrier now, but he did an article called Uniform Sole Thickness, and he also had a teaching where he would have you, okay, pick up like the back foot of a horse, but you're holding him by his hock. Um, and you're just letting the leg hang down and the foot fall normal. And when you look at it, you'll see that one side looks higher. Well, that's the side you're trimming out that's just twisting the foot and pulling the bulb down. So, of course, it looks higher. And so he did a deal where you just totally take that level with the other side no matter what. So I started doing that. Well, guess what? It got worse and worse and worse to where the lateral sides are almost twice the size of the medial side because it's pulling the medial side over tighter as it's pushing the lateral side out, which call you have very asymmetrical foot. So see, I went through all this, trimming this out and the whole mechanics behind it and everything. But then over time, I started seeing, wait a minute, something right here. The way we're looking at this is not right. And that's when I decided, okay, well, I'm going to take a jump. And I went ahead and trimmed that other side down. I mean, it was almost like an immediate change. And so then I started growing in the lateral side, trimming the medial side down more, and eventually the capsule tweaked around and my foot got better. So anyway, okay, so this is what I drew for her, okay, to show this here. Now again, what are we looking at? We're see how your eyes can be drawn only to heel. Well, we have to look at the inner foot. What is going on in the inner foot as well? Because that's the real foot, not just the capsule. The real foot's that inner foot. So this is part of that inner foot. You can see the imbalance. Okay, if I still had this heel attached right here, you can see, even though the heel might seem long, about the same length from here to here, okay, when you turn it over, you see how really, really imbalanced these feet are. Because you know what I bought at Walmart the other day? A Rubik's Cube. Yeah, a Rubik's Cube. Because each heel is independent. And guess what? This area in between here with the digital cushion and frog, independent too. So if I was strong enough, I could take the back of that foot and I could just bend it up and down and back and forth. See? So the foot in here can get bound under where both the heels can be fairly released. Or you could have one heel bound under and half of this foot cocked under about halfway with this side, just like a Rubik's Cube. You know how a Rubik's Cube, you take it, you hold it in your hand, and you turn your fist one way forward and the other way back, and that changes the alignment of the Rubik's Cube, right? Same here by our trimming. This foot is that flexible and that elastic. Brady Clark used the word elastic. That's what he saw. And, unfortunately, it's treated like a piece of wood. It's not a piece of wood. Okay. It's very movable, very elastic. I have witnessed a foot completely change within minutes after you trim it, you know, minutes after you take down a toe. I have watched the Dort's wall move, things like that. So here you see what'll really happen to a real horse just by what I simulated here. See how much that this whole bulb and cartilage and everything moved down? See? So anyway, okay, so um now here we go. Just a second here. I have some more explanations. Where are they? Okay. So I shared this several times. Let me see if I can find because I added some to it. Just a second. Oh, and there I see Eva, you were talking to David too, but I have some more pictures here. Well, for crying out loud, where'd they go? Well, hmm, just a minute. Well, I know there ain't no 37 comments there. Just a minute there. A second. Oh, here we go. Martha uh shared a picture of her horse's foot. And she said, "Look, my horse self-trimmed his heel down." And then she showed a picture of his heel, how he broke it off, and her foot was worse than this. She showed a picture of the heel, how it was broken off. Then she showed a picture of the horse standing, and it did exactly what I have shown you here. So this is a great disappointment. Hmm. Maybe I
Do
can't.
you have your thing set for comments on all comments, or is it most relevant?
God, I hate that. Who are they to pull that BS on you, right? Who they to say what's most relevant? See, totally torques my
Yeah.
rear.
So if you go up to the top of your where comments start, see it says all comments though. You've got it on all comments.
Yeah. So I hate Facebook. I despise them. Okay.
It might be buried under one of the comments that has several replies.
Yeah, I'm looking. See, like here. Where is it? Okay, got it. You see why this is really not a good format for teaching and sharing stuff? Okay, so So, okay, so she shared this picture, different horse, but look, same thing. She said, thanks for your help, Linda. My horse is brave and has just self-trimmed. Took that heel down lower. Because sometimes doing that can be like pulling teeth, you know. I don't know if I want to do this. She says, thanks for your help, Linda. My horse is brave and has just self-trimmed the medial heel as suggested. So he cut his own heel off. Do you see that there? It's just kind of cracked and broken off, and it is quite a bit lower than this side. Okay. So, and look, same situation. This side wider, pulled down and forward. This side pulled over and narrower. Okay, so,
Linda, which heel he broke? Sorry.
okay, here, I'll take a picture of it. Just a minute.
Sorry, I'm just also working outside in the
Oh,
dark. But
that's okay. That's
try,
okay. No, speak up, speak up.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, 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 very good chat today. I'm just
Hey,
covering my
when did you get here?
in the dark. Yeah, cool.
Let's see here. Open file, just a minute. And so I'm going to take this and open it with paint. It's probably going to be humongous. Oh, no, it wasn't. How about that? Just a second. I was going to flip it over so you could see. Hold on. Well, it's this heel here. It's shorter. It goes like this. It's right here.
I can't see your cursor anywhere.
Oh,
Me
okay. Just a
neither.
minute. Just a minute. Um. Oh.
The one where the hand is, no?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, cool.
It's right here. That it goes to there. This one goes right here.
We don't see the cursor.
Okay, but do you see the mark?
No.
Well, what the heck is going on?
Is it the side where the hand is?
Oh, wait. Okay, just a minute. Hold on. I forgot to change it. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I had it on the wrong picture. So, so you see how high and compressed her foot is over here and narrow, just like that
Yeah.
other foot. All right. So we know that we've all dealt with this pretty much, you know. And so, okay, so let me undo that there. Let me go back here just a second.
I'm
I'll
still,
read.
in a sense, confused as to what is happening internally with the heels because the more pushed forward part means that the cartilage is more bent, meaning that then the heel is more, the internal heel is more bent, right?
Yeah.
So I would look at the tubules on the medial side and the lateral side, no?
Yeah. And over here, you here, let me
I'm sorry, I just want to, like, I don't have sureness. It's like
sure.
I trust your experience, what you're describing and sharing with us, and the result of your experience. But I still need
Okay.
more anatomical understanding. That's how I would put it.
Okay.
Like to me, this side, the medial side where the hand is, when I see that, my understanding is the bulb is pushed up and the
Yep.
cartilage on the medial side is more bent, meaning that the heel, though it appears upright, I would always look at the tubules and see, because it's also kind of appears. And again, I need to look at the solar view because probably the lateral heel on the solar view will be more curved
Uh-huh.
inwards in reality, but this heel will be more upright from this view, but more like the bar will be pulled straight forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And this one here, look at it here. See how the tubules go like that?
yeah, Yes.
Say so, and more out,
Yes.
whereas this one's very upright. And that's what was going on that other foot too. Okay, so because this foot is so movable, it's the capsule that has distorted and forced the foot into this position, binding it and holding it like this. So your so your capsule, you think about it. Technically, it's only it's a certain size, you know, like so. And so if this side pulls out and over or distorts in some way this way, ultimately it will affect this side by pulling it over, like so, squeezing it this way. But it all has to do with how the capsule got tweaked and twisted and then forced the inner foot, which is totally movable, all back here, you know, all cartilage and fat. So it's just being held over by the capsule itself. But we're going to look at that in a minute and look at an inner foot to see how that would do that. Because I got another markup that I made out of all this. So, okay, so just so we know, her horse self-trimmed here and it got shorter. Okay, so this side now, this wall here is shorter than this one. Here, if we go up here, okay, this heel right here has been made shorter than this one. Okay, way shorter, to where before it broke off, her heel broke off, it probably would have been about like this, right here. So let me undo that here. Okay, so the horse broke it off on his own, and just a minute here. And I said, she says, thanks for your help, Linda. My horse is brave and has just self trimmed the medial heel as suggested. Look at this. Says, oh, wow, that's amazing. I said, oh, wow, that's amazing. What a great testimony to the horse. And then I made a different illustration. Okay. So, so this is what I got here. This is her horse who had a shorter heel. And so I drew this. Now look here. Look at, I put this foot without a capsule up here that, this foot didn't really have any distortion. Now it did have a little bit on this side. As you can see, the bulb is wider over here, but nothing like what's going on here. But what I wanted to show was this foot, and all of this is movable. Depending on what's going on with that capsule can compress this foot into the very shapes you're seeing here and here. So this is her horse's foot turned over, and here's the lower heel on this side over here. Okay, so what I wanted to do is show the internal foot, you know, because this moves. It's all movable back here. The only part that isn't really movable is the coffin bone, where the coffin bone is. But it can still be bent unlevel, you know, tweaked to the side, and which eventually is going to affect it and wear it down in certain ways. But okay, so let's hold on. Now, what she did was, now she said, now she's going to show a picture of that foot, just like here. Remember, this is what I said that would happen to the foot when it is set down. How the side that's been pushed up, if you take that heel lower, is now going to level out and come down more level with the other side. Whereas over here, see how it's so pushed up? Okay, got to remember, I took just a minute here. I took heel off right here. So originally, this horse would stand, and this is how his foot would be. His foot would be higher on this side, even if the heels were the same length. Look, heels same length. Because of the twist and the distortion in the capsule, the inner foot is actually going to be higher on this side. We can tell because of the bulbs. See, again, look, I took the heel off here. And then I took this and I turned it over. And so what I'm showing here is what happens when that foot sets down and this heel I removed to make shorter sets down to the ground. It's going to pull that side of the foot lower and more even, see, than it was here. See, that we're looking at the inner foot, how the horse is really standing here, in spite of how these heels look, whether they're the physically same length. One side is more trimmed out and pulling the whole foot cockeyed. So then I put this inner foot to kind of give a demonstration of how, all this moves. I can take even I can take put my hand on that and even move it a little, but where it really moves is when that hoof capsule over a certain amount of time, it's just tweak, 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 pull, 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 pulls it out of shape and creates this horrible imbalance. Okay, so now let's go look at her foot. When she set it down, she took a picture of it. It was amazing, amazing, wonderful thing. I'm gonna and I asked her, which she hasn't replied yet. Okay, so this is what happened to the foot when she set it down and she took a picture. See how the bulbs are level now? Because this heel is lower, which allows this side of the foot to settle down. So yeah, it does work. Now we know that the whole capsule is going to have to shift and stuff like that. But when this side here just keeps getting higher, higher, higher and lifting the foot up that way, um, then you're not going to get that foot to start straightening out. And so what happened for me was after years, literally years of having very wide asymmetrical feet that would not change. And I mean, I tried everything. I tried, because what'll happen is this side over here gets looking way jammed up. So you think it's jammed, so you start relieving the wall to try and get the jamming out. Well, that's not why it's jammed. It's jammed because of this whole tweaking and bending of the capsule that's pulling the foot into this uh, unbalanced position. See? And so now the horse is at least back here, he's standing level. See, we're looking at the inner foot, What happened to the inner foot? Before, when the horse was standing, this bulb was, just a minute here. This bulb here was up here. See, it would have been, well, up here. See, more heel. Now that this heel is lower, the heel is shorter than this heel. It was the same length, just about, but now it's shorter. And so when it was longer, it was pushing this whole side up, because that's just the capsule. That's not the foot, but it holds the foot into whatever position it has been incorrectly trimmed. In this case, this heel here trimmed out more, this side pulled down and under and forward, which affected the whole hoof capsule going around clear over to here. And what happened, because it kept making this side look longer, because it twisted the foot and the capsule. When you pick it up, then you wind up, you keep lowering it, lowering it. But then once you start doing tack and you are measuring these heels, you start to notice more of this. See that how imbalanced the foot is and stuff. So are you kind of understanding there? Yes or
That's
no?
an aha moment. I'm looking at the pictures I took from Dolly's last trim,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at her hind feet, and yep, I got to take down that medial heel. By George.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Now, see, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that big, fat, ugly word right. Well, it's not a big, fat, ugly word, but it really irks me. Higher education irks me because the words they use, because nobody really knows what they mean. At least I didn't. Empirical. Am I saying it right? Does anybody know that word?
Empirical.
Oh, thank you.
Which one?
Empirical.
Empirical.
Yeah. Empirical knowledge. That's what we are doing. I'm not sitting here waiting on a download from some big dark spirit. Oh, dark spirit, show me the truth of the great hoof. No. Um, this is empirical knowledge. Let's look up that word. Um, see, I we're doing the scientific method, and it's got a name. Yeah, they give it a big fat name so that when they do it and they talk about it, we're all mesmerized. Ooh, okay. Let's see here. Empirical knowledge. Let's look at the definition of that word.
I've got it. It says based on, concerned with, or verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic.
Here we go, people. Okay, we are the big it. We are seeing in real time how that works. We've been observing this for how many years and trying to understand it more and more and more. And now in this little deal here, I know I had some things come together in my head on it, you know, observable, and then not only being able to observe it and it's repeatable, but then define and explain, try and explain it, you know, because we're looking at two 3D objects here. Then not only are they two 3D objects that move, you also got it growing the whole time too. So this is like 7D, you know, but we're not in the fourth dimension. I guess the fourth dimension is the hooky pook. So 3D object that you can observe with your senses. See, that's science. Okay. And again, you know, if you got the other thing going too, that's wonderful and stuff. We all have our beliefs. They don't have any place in anatomy, in science, in medicine. I don't, you know, not when it comes right down to it. Okay, let's see here. And if they do, then you better tell me what you're practicing on me, you know. To say, yeah, well, we're practicing this, but it's not purely based in science, you know. It's based on that other mystical stuff. Better tell me about it. Okay. So anyway, if you weren't here for the first hour, you don't know what I'm talking about. so so about it basically about how a lot of barefoot trimming is based in uh, mystical uh, belief systems and not in actual true science and anatomy. So okay, hold on. Alrighty then. Well, see, so that'll be interesting. So Marilyn, uh, uh, obviously we need to look at some examples. Now, can we look at your horse's feet?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to look at some more examples. And here, this will be cool because then you can go and apply this and we will see in real time how it's going to work.
Well, I have also quite a lot of examples, so I'm going to prepare some cases for that. And
That'd
I'm
be
going to,
great.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll do that.
Okay.
But the thing is, yeah, I think, I will prepare cases and then I will ask my questions. That would be the easiest way.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll try and get a video of this thing, that looks like a hoof capsule. I'll try and get a video of what happens when you twist it, when you pull one side down. Well, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I just have it here in my hand. And like when I pull one side down, which represents the lateral heel being trimmed out, you can see how when you would turn it over, that side would look high. And then when I go ahead, like as if I was shortening the other heel, okay, and I pull it down to where it's now level with my other hand, it straightens that capsule right out. So it's
Are
show
you
you
not able to
this.
go live to show us that,
Yeah,
like in a
let's see
live
what I
video?
can do. Hold on.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I'm sure the YouTube viewers will appreciate.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, where am I? See, I want to have that little thing like they do on Jeopardy, that little music, so that while I'm looking for something, I just play that. Da 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 da. Let's see. Okay, got the IV cam going. Okay. Okay. Um, stop share. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna pin this. Let's see. I got a mess going here, so don't mind my house. If it's gonna do you see it? It's supposed to be pinned. Just a minute here. Okay, stop share. Oh, there we go. How's that? Can you see that?
We can see it. Yes, we can
Okay.
see it.
Okay. Okay, just a minute here. Gosh dang. I don't understand. I must have broke this thing or something. Okay. Okay. So it's this thing here. It's called the Hoof Wizard. And you know how people are always trying to come up with some new gimmick, right? This must not have gone over, or the guy was old and he died. Okay, but I had two of them. There was one for a front hoof and one for a back hoof. You can see how I made the hairline there, right? So let me get over here to see if I can do this right. Okay, so here's your hoof capsule. This is good. Now remember before I was saying if you had like I don't know, I guess I don't have nothing here that I can use. Let me see. Well, look, I could just use an envelope even. Okay, if you have this envelope in your hands, okay, here's a heel, here's a heel. and you pull one down, look what it does to the rest of the envelope. It's going to affect the whole envelope. See? All right, so here's your hoof capsule. You're trimming one heel out, and what it's doing is it's now remember there's a foot inside here that moves, okay? And so you're I'm right now I'm level. Foot is level, everything like that. But when I start trimming this heel out, it starts pulling this down, like so. See, can you see the toe quarter going up there? See how it's going up? Now look at this line right here. Here, let me mark it with the marker. Where's my markers? Just a second. I'm going to put some marks on it so we can see it better. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see if this works better. Oh, well, I tried to. Just a second. You've got to be able to see the rim. So I'm going to mark it with the marker so you can see it twist. And you can see how what happens to the toe quarter. Let's see if this works now. Okay, see, you can see that better, right? Okay, so here's your balanced level hoof capsule. Got to remember there's a living, movable foot in there, right? So when you, let's say this is lateral and this is the medial, but it can happen on either side, but it's more common on the lateral because it's easier to rasp down that heel more. Well, the second that you rasp down that heel more than it should be, for the buttress to support the back of the foot, it pulls the whole foot down, like just even a little bit, like so. Okay. And so when it does that, then it's going to affect everything all the way forward. So look at the line going around here, and look at the line here in the center. That would represent your horn tubules being in alignment. So see how it starts to move it? Is it are you able to see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can
Thank
see
you.
it.
So
Okay.
the midline is going to the right,
Right,
medially.
right. Not only that, but it's raising this toe here and pushing it forward. You know how a lot of times you'll see the growth ring will really go up right here on feet like
Yes.
that.
Mm-hmm. So it's not
So
because it's jammed, it's because it's pushed.
yeah, and it can be a combination of both as well, because we're not very good at trimming toe quarters in general. So a lot of times they're left high. And in some trims, they suggest you leave them high, that they're actually pillars, which don't believe that no more. Okay, so here the horse is standing level, the foot is level inside, and then you lower the heel buttress and force the foot down like this. The more it gets trimmed out and forward. Okay, well, what happens? This side's going to stay high at the same level. See? Remember, in our foot, we look at the hairline as high up here, but lower over here, right? Okay, so if I go ahead, and here's the thing, the heels, okay, this would go to Rachel, your geometry thing that you did. How you can have a heel that's a certain height, but because it's not the real heel, okay, it's still pulling that side down, right? So this side gets trimmed out a little more, and this side is actually just stand the same, maybe even. Doesn't, but what happens is then this side, the hairline, it winds up clear up here, and this one down here. So, but watch, okay? And look at that line in the center is going over this way. So your horse is getting pigeon-toed, okay? And of course it gets wider out here too, you know. So what about the foot? The foot is being pulled down. This is looking higher, but it's not higher. Not really. It's just been pulled down like that to look higher. See, like so. Well, what if, okay, so this heel's trimmed out and this is going on, and so this is down like that. Well, I decide the heels look the same length. Okay, I just decide I'm going to take this heel down more. See, that's going to help straighten it out to where then it's going to be better to grow this heel back in. Let's try it again. Let's see. Let me get it like this. That's going to like put torque going this way to help this heel come back and kind of straighten the whole thing up. Let's look at it this way, as if we were looking at it from below. Okay. Why does the one heel look that's pulled down look higher? Okay. Well, because of that. See how it looks higher? Okay. Now look at these. They're even on this little thing here. Okay. What they, of course, heels shouldn't be that small, short, but still, let's say this represents the heels. Okay. If the whole capsule is twisted, even if the heels are the same length, look at this one looks longer, right? Just because you tweak the capsule, because this is really your hoof capsule on the foot. I mean, this is the foot here. That's a foot. And so, but it's movable. All this back here, soft cartilage and fat. Now, of course, this is plaster. I can't do it, but it can be moved up and down like that. It can be pulled under. It can be jammed up. See? So that hoof capsule has the power to take this foot and pull one side down and under and jam one side up. See? You can't do it with this because you know, it's hard. But when you lower one heel more than it should because it's attached to the foot, it's going to pull this side down like so. Because these have to be supported up like that to where they're supposed to be. And when you lower one, it forces that down. So anyway, is that kind of helping people see?
Yes, very useful. Very, very useful. It's
Okay.
excellent.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, so let's look at Marilyn's horse. Okay, where are we at here? Do. I guess that's the right page. Okay, so I got to find Marilyn's most recent pictures.
They're from like a week ago.
Okay. Let's see. Search. Right here, August 24th.
That'd be it.
Okay, just a second here.
That was the day I'd planned to just do bars and frogs and ended up doing the whole trim, which I'd never done before, taking pictures and studying them before I trimmed. And it's like, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, let's see here. Well, looking pretty nice there, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Okay, is the picture up there?
Yep.
Why does this thing say preparing live stream? Are we not live streaming on YouTube? Did we just do all that and didn't have it? Well, that'd figure, wouldn't it?
I got a notification saying it was live streamed.
I did too,
Okay.
but I don't see it on my phone.
Huh. Um, I don't understand why this says preparing live stream. I just don't get it. And that
It's
I
live.
can't.
I
Get back.
checked. It's
I have
live.
it live.
Is it? Oh, okay, good deal. Okay, so this is the Heinz. Okay. Now what we see here that's got to eventually happen in Maryland is these horn tubules have to increase and push up a little more, and these have to decrease and come back. As you still got this big long piece kind of right here, but it's getting
Right.
better all the time. I see you marked it.
Always.
Yeah. So now we're looking at the back. And so these, look at how this side here is pushed up and this side is pulled down. Am I looking at this right, or is it the other way?
I think it's right.
Yeah, this is medial. This is lateral. Looky there, you got a little bit of frog peeking through. Yeah, this side's steeper and this side is more angled out. So we're seeing this pattern, same pattern in this foot. Not as bad as the other two, okay? But it's got the same pattern going on. So we know that this hoof capsule is tweaked around, you know? So again, got the same heel height here. And we can see that this, you've got the asymmetry, you know, this side wider
Uh-huh.
and this side narrower. See, yours is not even half as bad as those other 2 feet. So it's a little harder to see, but it's still there. Narrower bulb,
Uh-huh.
steeper wall, wider bulb, um, with the horn tubules going out a little more, wider in the sole from the frog right here to the outside of the wall.
It's the asymmetry on the bottom that I can see first and easiest.
Yeah. You can see how when you look at feet from this angle, you can see how uh the bulbs are wrapped around and pulled down right there. Let's look at the other one. Okay, so lateral You know, and you see the same thing here. Steeper, stiffer on this side and pulled in where, and look, right even from here to here and from here to here, you can see how this bulb is wider and this heel pulled down and forward. But again, not anything like what we're seeing in those other 2 feet. And this foot almost seems a little bit even less so than the other foot. Well, it'd be really interesting if you take it down like 2/8 of an inch, just a tiny bit more. Now, how long is your dorsal wall?
3 1/4, I believe.
Okay. How's Dolly moving around?
Just fine. She was a little footy the day I trimmed, and I thought, ooh, yay. And a couple days later, she was just fine.
Just fine. Okay. And that's a thing that we want. We don't want to cause soreness because we are not building up the digital cushion. What we are doing is building up the capsule, moving the frog that will then lift up and support the digital cushion where it's supposed to be. So,
I'm just looking at my posts. The dorsals are 3 1/2 inches.
okay. Well, you might consider taking those down more.
That's kind of on my radar.
Okay. Okay. I know it's scary. Uh, believe you me.
I figured
But
I'd let her feet get a little bit happier with what I'd already done and then whack at them some more.
yeah, I think that's good. You're doing a great job. It
Thank
looks
you.
really nice. I mean, uh, yeah, it looks nice. Everything's so nice and level and stuff like that, but can definitely see where this area here can come back and stand up more. And that ultimately that'd really help her out. So, I am going to tell you that this notch here is going to have like next to no effect at all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm just a little,
I know.
yeah.
I know. It's a good try there, dear, but it's not going to do anything and stuff. Now if you were to take out, several chunks maybe about that size, because I've seen them come out like that, but ultimately, that's not enough of a notch to accomplish anything.
It's a nice tidy little notch though.
It sure is, and it's a brave try, my friend. You're doing great.
Thanks.
And but I've seen them just break out like that all along in here,
Oh, I have too.
where it's not even a notch. It's just like the quarter wall just cracks out and falls out. Even up clear up into here. In fact, one of the pictures that Gene Obenek's research has a foot that's doing that.
I have a question about sole depth.
Okay.
Does she get footy because of sole depth? And if so, how can you tell how deep a sole is by looking at the hoof?
Had to ask that, didn't you? One of those things that's really fun to try and explain. Um,
Well, I ordered those X-ray vision thingies you have, but they didn't come yet.
yeah, we need those X-ray vision specs. Wouldn't that be great?
But is
Um,
that why she would be footy, or that's a different thing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Um, I
My
really don't know.
my gut feeling was that she was um a little footy because of the fresh trim on the sole, and when I saw her again 2 days later, the soles had hardened up and she was fine. It's
Okay.
my gut feeling.
Yeah. Well, because you didn't take off anything from what I can see to make her
I
sore.
scribed the toes rather heavily. I scribed off what came off willingly without going
Okay.
real hard into it. Anything
Okay.
that was the least bit crumbling came off.
Oh, okay. So you pretty much went down to live sole or whatever is exfoliatable.
As best as I could, and then I did a little bit more in the toe because the toe it looked like it needed to because it was just kind of higher on the toe and around the toe quarter, and I just kind of took it down.
Okay. Well, like if we were all to sit here and trim off all the excess fingernail we had, even without using our fingers feel weird.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So how much more for a horse? Um, you basically trimmed her fingernails down right there. You didn't take off an excessive amount or anything like that, but it's going to feel different because this hoof capsule is growing from skin, okay? With the skin in the end of our fingernails. I wonder where my thing is here. I'm going to trim off my fingernail. Now I got to experiment.
Hello,
Hello? Who's that?
anonymous who?
Anonymous. Who? Okay, so I just want to try this out. I want to get I'm looking for my nippers, my human nippers. I'm gonna trim see, I always apply it to myself. Let's see. Anyway, I can't see them right now. I had them all here. Trim your fingernails down. How's it feel? Even before you use them. How's a different feel, you know? And if you took off anything that would allow her dorsal wall to move back a little, that's going to do it too. And I've seen it on my own horse where when I took the toe down, whole dorsal wall moved back, and I didn't even take down any excessive amount. So you got a big giant horse inside that shell, and that shell is movable. So yeah, anything we do, they've got to feel it. Doesn't necessarily mean they would be sore per se, but they would be like, what the heck? This feels different, let alone people come in there and just basically drape them, you know, of every bit of foot, which I have done in the past. Let me get a picture up there of that. Just a second here. See, and trimming, sometimes people need to not trim so often and let the feet get established. You know, I'm not sure that constant trim is a good thing. You know, then again, they can go too long as well. Uh, so let me see if I can find a picture of when I was doing my serial trimming. That's what I call it. When I was a serial trimmer. Um, just a second here. Pictures. STUV. This minute here. Share. Well, I could share several of them. Let's see. Here you can see a difference in the size of the foot. But this wasn't the ultimate small. I think I was restoring heels here. But you know what? We could go and we could reverse this. And if we were barefoot trimmers, we could say, okay, this is a foot. Oh, that horse's heels are too high and they're run forward. And then show this foot later as to what it was turning into and still saying, yeah, too high and take the heels out of that. You know, let me go find another picture where it's worse. Because actually, I'm going from this to this. But when I had this, I wasn't sure what I had. I think um, I didn't know about horses being frog bound yet. So I was not trimming the frog enough. Or I think I would have been way beyond what I am now. My frog stayed bound for a very long time because remember, it's like a Rubik's Cube. So I could release the foot and grow the heels, but if the center of the foot, the digital cushion of the frog is still pulled under, see, uh, because that frog stay is going to keep your foot right where it's at ultimately. Obviously, it had been raining. You can see the white on the periopal, and so the foot looked pretty good here. I think I was at a stage where I was really good, and if I would have known what I had and I released the frog, uh, we'd be there. As it was, we kept going through stages of distortion because of the frog binding. Let's see, when did I do this? When did I put these two pictures together? This was in 22. Okay. So this here on the left would have been 2019. This is 2022. And of course, this is the foot where he tore half this cartilage off and things like that. So let's see here. Okay, so let me look and see if I can find a picture where when I did the last barefoot trim on him, which would have been 4 years before this. Let's see. Yep. Okay, here you go. Here I got some different examples. Okay, so right over here was last barefoot trim, 7/14/2014, and had been doing that since 2006. Didn't trim him at all, except knock off a few high edges for a year, didn't take pictures, didn't do nothing. And this is the reality of what this here is. This is what it really is right here. But this, see, you make these neat little feet that you keep trimming every 2-3 weeks, right? Okay, why do they do that? Because if they let the foot grow any longer than that, they start seeing run forward heels and everything else. Well, that's because that's what you have trimmed it into. You have distorted the inner foot. And so then when you just let it go, that's what it turns into. OMG. You look at that and you're going, oh my goodness, what happened? Horrible. So this would be, well, in 2015, and so still didn't understand about that we were trimming the heel buttress out. All I saw was that he had a long run forward toe and run forward heels. How do I fix that? Okay. So I got a mechanical mind. And I know that these horn tubules have to kick these ones up straight. And so I spent 6 months growing the heel and shortening the toe to get rid of all this, to try and get these horn tubules here to kick these horn tubules back, to kick the heels up. And then I fully planned on making it look like that again, because I didn't understand the mechanics of what was going on. but I understood mechanics enough to know that these heels had to stand up, and that if I trimmed them down to a little nubbin, how are these horn tubules here going to kick back and push them up? See, that was my logic. And so, well, when was this? So this is from 23, I guess. These two here, something like that. And again, I kept seeing the cartilage expand and look different. See, this looks different even from this here. You can tell that this is where the feet were getting wet. We had a lot of moisture. It was raining. So you see the white periopal there. Down here, it's not as white. And you see that the cartilage is rounded. So, yeah. Well, what's this? This is, okay, it's 22. When are you? I guess that's 23. Trying to figure these feet out. See? So yeah, that was right there, my last barefoot trim. And what's that look like? Looks like Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot with no heels, walking on its bulb and a 30-degree hairline. That is the image that was put in my brain. That's what's been put into everybody's brain.
And that's what you wanted to go back to?
Well, yeah, because that was the image that was in my head. That image is very strong. You don't see, like, we can look at it now and go, oh, that's terrible. But other people are looking at that and thinking that's the way to go.
I hear it,
See?
yes.
Huh?
I see it. I see it and I hear it, yes.
Yeah. Let's look at a couple of things here to kind of drive that point home. Just a second here. Okay. So we've read this before, but I think it behooves us to read it again. This is what has been put in everybody's head, which is not scientific, not based on true research. And all you have to do is read Jamie Jackson's new biography on his page, his extended biography, and his new book that came out in 23, Horse Track into the Mystic, and get in there to the very last page, and you will find that nothing he produced in the book, The Natural Horse, is based on true, accurate anatomy of a multitude of feet compared. Instead, we got this one foot, rear foot, that became the barefoot model. And so here, listen to this. So says, even though, I still don't know why that keeps saying live stream, even though natural hoof care practitioners, and see, that's a marketing, what you call a marketing ploy to start calling trimmers practitioners. Because when you say practitioner, what are you thinking about in your head? Oh, they're medical professionals, right? Well, they're not. And you're not. You're a trimmer or you're a farrier. You are not a medical professional. So even though natural hoof care practitioners, as he started to call them, agree, and that's going to tick some people off because, see, now that they've got a profession, all right, and it sounds real important, I'm a practitioner, see, well, no, you're a trimmer, and his trim is not based on true science or anatomy. So it says, even though natural hoof care practitioners agree. Okay, they agree. Each hoof is distinctly different. They agree on one model, which they perceive as being naturally perfect. This is our model. This is the hoof which each horse was born to wear, which is the goal we gradually work towards. Guess what? That was the goal I was gradually working towards. And the day of that trim, I've been gradually working towards it. I've got uh what? From 2006 to 2014, I charted my whole journey. I shared it with others and I taught the same stuff. Okay? So, um uh so that's what I was gradually working towards. And let me show you another picture here. Just a second. Another picture. And remember, I showed you my book. I have that picture on the front of it. Didn't even realize it, that I put it in a binder. See? There's another picture I picked up off the web. Just a minute here. Let me find it. Where are you? Well, it's here somewhere. Just a second. Oh, oh, come on, I can't find you. Just a second. Extra large icons. Okay. Yeah, we need to look at how different the anatomy, the internal anatomy is. Um, okay, I found it. So I found this picture on the web. I printed it out and put it in my 3-ring binder, clear back. I don't know, sometime between 2006 and 2008 or 9. And so I'll show you the picture. But okay, we're looking at that article. I didn't put that together. Somebody else put it together of quoting all these people. All these people have been led by Jamie Jackson to think that every wild horse has this foot on the end of their leg. Let's see. Uh, okay, share right here. Okay, so I'm gonna read that again. This is Tribe Equus. This is some people that do hoof trim and teaching and stuff up there in Canada. They've been around a long time. Just like Enlightened Equine. It was down here in Missouri. They've made enough money to buy a ranch in Tucson. Let me tell you that there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of customers out there to grab a hold of. Okay, because there's a lot of people in need because of all the false teaching in traditional farriery that's come down to us for 250 years, as well as what now this guy taught. And I'm sure he has the best intentions in mind. Okay, but what he did was not science. So, and again, we got to remember that he claimed to have thoroughly measured, examined, and photographed the feet off of 107 wild horses at Litchfield, California, and said also in the same book, The Natural Horse, that was over 400 feet. Okay, and there's not one photograph in there. This foot did not come from Litchfield. Came from another place called Palomino Valley, which is BLM's, from what I heard, BLM's largest adoption facility. So large that it has 2 on-site veterinarians. Okay. And so he went and got the feet off 5 or 6 horses from these veterinarians that had died there for one reason or the other. This horse died in a roundup. It was a mare. She died in a roundup. He got the feet off all these horses. He managed to find one set of feet that agreed with the image he had in his head, the image that was put in his head, which was that wild horses have no heels and a steep dorsal wall. He don't know how, but he's going to figure it out. And the way he figured it out was he went through enough cadaver hooves that he finally found one that fit the bill. And that was this horse here. And this became his model. This is what he does all of his anatomical drawings in the book off of. This one foot. Not even the front feet off the same horse. Because you can actually see they have heels that are collapsed and really run forward. But off the rear feet. And you know, I think he found another foot or two that managed to look very similar, that he cut down the center. And here's the deal. Guess what? So, well, I'll tell you that after I read this. Okay, so look at this foot, people, and look at how it's presented. Do you see the feet on the horse in the background? No. But you see the word, you see the image, you see what the effect this has on you? Now, David Landville says in his post a number of years ago called The Heart of Hoof Care. He said, so he's learning about it too, like all of us, right? He says that he was reading Pete Ramey's book. Pete Ramey said in his book, take that foot of Jamie Jackson's and burn it into your brain. This is what I did. Well, I don't ever remember reading or hearing that, but it's what I did because the foot was everywhere being promoted as the ideal foot that all of our horses should have on our heads, our heads, on their feet. They should have their foot on our head. Maybe it'd knock some sense into us, eh? Just joking. So looking at this foot, okay, and I did not write this. This was on the web. I found it years ago, but see, I read it, and what did it do? Put that the image of that foot, that picture. There, these are from 2 different websites. Just a minute here. Okay, different website here than this other one. Right here. This foot is all over the web on every barefoot site there is. If you dig, you're going to find it because it was put in their head too. Because he had a book with no peer review. Nobody ever checked up on his research. And I don't fault him for having his own belief. What I do fault him for is, okay, where's the pictures, Jamie? You know, where are the pictures? If you really went back to Litchfield and the first year did 107 horses, and then, like I said, you know, he's got 3 years there where, or 3 different books, same book, The Natural Horse, Lessons from the Wild, 1992. I did 107 horses and over 400 feet. I thoroughly examined, measured, and photographed. Not one picture in the book. Only this foot. And so this foot is put forth as the model. He has a couple pictures of some other feet. None of the feet at Litchfield, where he supposedly got all his data. So he does another book in 1997, where now he's got all kinds of ads and he's joined at the hip with Hildred Strasser from Germany because, you know, having a vet on your side makes you look scientific and legitimate. And same number, 107 horses, 400 feet. Could have put a picture or two in there because when Janet wrote to him asking about the discrepancy that I am describing here. The discrepancy comes in the next book in 2020. I guess he figured, well, nobody checked me out on all them others. I'll just up the ante. And so in the 2020 same book, he changes the number of feet he said he did from 107 to 225 and 1,000 feet instead of 400 feet. Instead of over 400 feet that I thoroughly measured, examined, and photographed, and the exact number 107 horses at Litchfield in like 1984. I kind of get the year mixed up there. In the third edition, and remember, he keeps it the same in the first and second edition, 1992, 1997. In the third edition, it's 225 horses and over 1,000 feet done in 2 years. So Janet writes him, what about this discrepancy? And he writes back saying, well, I don't know. They were all done on a typewriter. That was a Freudian slip because he's right about that. And so you've got this big discrepancy here. Where's the pictures? He said that the editor, he said it was the editor's fault. That the editor got it wrong. He had no say in it at all. Well, he had a say in it by 2020 because he's publishing his own books. Okay? He's worked it out so he can publish his own books, not have to pay somebody else, so he can put whatever they want in them. And not one photo. He could have added photos, but he didn't. It's what he did change was the number he said he did, and it still all amounts to this foot being the quintessential model that they're all going to put on, that we all must work towards putting on our horse. Well, look here, take a look at that. And then, just a minute here. And then, take a look at that right there. That's the image that's put in my head, And I kept thinking, well, that gravel crunching, wild horse quality foot is right around the next trim, right around the next trim. Well, I got right to here, and my horse acted like I cut his feet off. Okay, but look at it's got everything they said you should put on there. See, example. I'll give you another example here. Just a minute. Let's go back to here. Yeah, perfection. Okay, let me show you another example here. Now, this is interesting. Okay, we'll go to my file of bad barefoot. my file of bad barefoot. That's bad farrier, bad anatomy, bad barefoot. Let's see here. So just how things come full circle is pretty darned interesting. Okay, let's go here. Share. Now, is my foot any different than that? Do you think? Does anybody have an opinion?
I think your heel might be just a titch higher.
Okay. But you see this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me tell you when I did this meme. See, it advertises this magazine, The Barefoot Horse, right? Okay, so see how I drew a circle with a line through it, because by then I know this is not what we're supposed to be. I did this a month after I learned that we've been led to trim the heels out. The date I have on when I made this meme was 7/21/2016 at 10:03 a.m. So when did I learn we were trimming the heels out? About a little over a month before in January. Well, wait a minute. No, when? No, I learned 7 months before that in January 2016. Doing minute detail of every part of the hoof capsule, and I got to the back and I was like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a heel buttress. Oh my God, we've been taught to trim the heel buttress out of the horse. So, okay, so I've had this for a long time. I have no idea who puts this magazine out. Does anybody know? Anybody want to tell me? Who puts that magazine out?
I don't know.
You don't know? Thank you for participating.
Don't have a
Okay.
clue.
This is rich, people. Okay, just a minute. I just found this out uh uh not that long ago. Okay? Just a minute. Let me find it. Hold on. Let's see here. Yeah, this will crack you up. Maybe. Maybe it won't. Maybe you don't know who it is. You know? But I will tell you that it is a person who is one of Jamie Jackson's double HANCP whatever hoof practitioners. Okay. And was in 2016 and had been for a number of years. Obviously, to have a magazine, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you now. Just a minute here. Let me think. Let's see. Maybe I need to go to screenshots. Hold on here. Um, think I'm in the wrong deal. Hold on. Okay. Yes. I just got to figure out where it is. So hold on, because it's now why the heck seem to be missing pictures? Just a minute. I'll have to go to the internet. Go to Facebook to find it. Hold on. Okay. Do. Wait a minute. Okay, somebody sent me this picture, just so you know, because I can't get on these people's page. They have blocked me. Okay, well, I don't even know them, but they blocked me. So okay, so just a minute. I had to get into Messenger to draw it up. Just a second. Gosh dang. Okay, I'll show you the. Just a minute here. Oh, wait. Yeah, who puts that magazine out? Just a second. And again, you might even know about this person. I don't know. Um, so let's see. But again, this is somebody who was trained and indoctrinated by Jamie Jackson's methodology and pseudoscience, because it is pseudoscience, because it's not based on the true anatomy and true observation of many horses' feet, regardless of what he claims. Let's see here. Why am I having such a bad time finding stuff? Hold on. Well, this stupid thing. Guess it don't want me to show it. I don't know. Well, here we go. Where would I put that? I'll put it in pictures A. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Sorry it takes so long. Here's, oh. Okay, hold on. Get almost there, people. Hold on. Okay, just a minute here. Just a second. Okay, I got it. Hold on. Share. Right here. Okay, you see it? What's it say? The Barefoot Horse, right? Who puts that magazine out? This is right here. Do you know who this is? Anybody know who that is?
I don't know.
Nope,
It,
not me.
nobody?
Well, we don't have it in Hungary. Obviously, it's expensive
Oh, it's
also.
going to be there. Believe you me. She's making the rounds. Okay, this is Lindsay Setchell. You've ever heard of Hoofing Marvelous?
A little.
Okay, well, see, I hear things, you know. Hoofing Marvelous. How about the Phoenix Way? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it.
I don't know anybody.
Okay. Well, okay, so she is okay, a student of Jamie Jackson, and she's a very talented, very driven woman, okay? And so she has a hoof group called Hoofing Marvelous, and then they started a deal called the Phoenix Way, and right now her ideas are well, I'll tell you what, they got everybody upset. Okay, they got everybody upset because she is blaming laminitis and different things like that on bad trimming. Now, do you know anybody else that ever did that? Well, she got everybody upset for doing that. But what she does is she has her trim is based on Jamie Jackson's for the most part. In it's no heel, but in her case, it's long toe. Okay, so she has everybody in the whole hoof care world upset. But the thing about her is she is moving Jamie Jackson's basic doctrine over the whole world. She is on a world tour right now, moving this teaching of hers. And so on the surface, what she does sounds like anatomy and science, but it's based in and founded in Jamie Jackson's One Dead Wild Horse research. So, see, that's the barefoot horse right there. Well, she did this magazine, and I'm telling you, she's a very talented person, very good at marketing and stuff. But what she's teaching ultimately goes back to him and that one dead wild horse foot with no heels. See, and the whole everything based on uh not science but nature. Nature does this and nature does that. Well, you need to realize that that's not science. When they appeal to nature, see, I can tell you, let me show you here. Okay, so this ultimately is the image that was put in her head. Okay, so she's still got this part in her head, But now she's on a deal where they're growing the toes way the heck out here like that. And so she's got everybody upset. She's got uh, Lindsay Fields upset. In fact, if you get on Lindsay Fields' page and you even say the name of Hoofy Marvelous or the Phoenix Way or Lindsay Setchel, she'll block you off and throw you off her page. How funny is that? So there's a big battle going on. Farriers don't like them, don't like her. Uh, Barefooters don't like her and stuff because she's promoting some things that are different than what they do and stuff. Now, I don't agree with her at all, obviously. Okay. But one thing I will say about her, man, I mean, she is a go getter marketing fool. Yeah. Because she is moving her ideas and her method and she has them all up in a roar. Okay, so pretty interesting anyway, what's going on out there in barefoot land because we're talking about people moving doctrines that, in my opinion, and what we have learned from TAC are not correct. This is not the foot of the horse right here. Okay, so let's go back to what they say. Just a minute here. Yeah, I mean this gal, whew, she's talented. That is for sure. But not correct. Just another what you would call it? Just another phase of incorrect teaching going all over the whole world and making people think that they're doing true anatomy because you keep saying nature, 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 when it's all based and goes right back to Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot. So just a minute here. Okay, so let's keep reading this. So this is what has been put in everybody's head. This was put in my head. It's put in a lot of farriers' heads too, because they had to start barefoot trimming to keep clients. So it says, even though natural hoof care practitioners agree that each hoof is distinctly different, they agree on one model which they perceive as being naturally perfect. This is naturally perfect. This is our model. This is the hoof which each horse was born to wear, and which is the goal we gradually work towards. You know how you gradually work towards? You're mimicking natural wear. And of course, they teach you that, well, these wild horses, they go, 20 miles a day. And so in one trim, you're mimicking what a horse that goes 20 miles a day would take off. That don't seem right because their feet grow as they're moving, right? But your horse's foot grows for 3 weeks and then their barefoot trimmer comes in there and this image has been put in their head. And so they take that rasp and rasp it all down to those specs. It says, this is our model. This is the hoof which each horse was born to wear, and which is the goal that we gradually work towards. The more I work towards this goal, the more healthy and effective they become. That's a freaking lie. Okay? It's not true. What happens is you have a foot that is so overgrown that it's in bad shape to begin with. So when you start to do this, the foot do get better and healthier. But as you keep doing it, they get worse. It says the more I work towards this goal, the more healthy and effective they become. Okay, so making natural hoof care work for you. Rick Redden regarding Jamie Jackson. We will make this model to be the industry standard. Okay, and that's Jamie's book. What is it? Hoof Natural Hoof Care. Horse Owner's Guide to Natural Hoof Care. Okay. From this natural hoof, perfectly adapted to rough living conditions in deserts, dry valleys, and mountains of the Great Basin, should be derived the knowledge of how, yeah, it should have been, but not from this foot. Okay. No, not from this foot. One single foot. Should be derived the knowledge of how a hoof is built and functions, and thus what the natural trim should look like. Again, this image is put in my freaking head. The concept of the hoof mechanism, the blood circulation, oh, there we go, and the ground parallel coffin bone. That's what Strasser pushed. In order to get a ground parallel coffin bone, you have to trim the heels out and crush the internal heel to make that coffin bone. Ground parallel means you're going to make it set flat in the foot when the coffin bone sets at a slight angle within the tissues of the foot itself. It says, from this natural hoof, perfectly adapted to the rough living conditions in deserts, dry valleys, and mountains of the Great Basin, should be derived the knowledge of how a hoof is built, functions, and thus what the natural trim should look like. So what happens? They started trimming feet like this, and they didn't work out, but they don't want to tell anybody, right? So what Jamie Jackson comes up with is paddock paradise, okay? Because he's thinking, well, we're trimming these horses this way, but they're not sound. It's because they're not getting enough locomotion, enough natural locomotion on buried terrain. So let's take our big corral or our pasture, and we're going to put up fences everywhere, and we're going to rocks out there, and we're going to throw pea gravel, and we're going to do this, we're going to make them move all over. In and of itself, nothing wrong with that. But why did they do it? In my opinion, they did it because the trim wasn't working. I know this from David Landerville, what he told Jan Mulcher, who he trimmed for 7 years. Because remember, David Landerville read Pete Ramey's book, who said, burn this image of Jamie Jackson's foot into your brain. And so he had Jan Mulcher haul in thousands and thousands of dollars of chat, which is sharp little gravel pieces. It's all over her place she used to live in now, for her horses to walk on, because he told her, well, they're just not getting enough natural movement to wear the foot and stuff like this. And so thus Paddock Paradise is born. So because these horses never and then the word transition is invented. Oh, well, they're in transition. Well, no, their feet are getting trimmed out and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And so now we got to start blaming it on other things. Not enough natural movement, it's nature's foot. And then it's it's either genetic, or it's diet, or it's this. You haven't got enough herbs. You need to be giving your horse herbs and all this other stuff, and oh, you better cut them off any food altogether, maybe. you know Soak your hay, all these different things. And so the horses are suffering because the hoof capsule is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Because look here, let's go back to this. This is my horse's, this is more the true size of his foot. Not that, okay? This is like Chinese foot binding. His whole foot has been compressed and smashed down into a little tiny capsule. This is more his true foot. This is more his real true foot. Bigger capsule. Notice the cartilages getting bigger, because they're not what happens when you trim these feet down like this, it strips the frog stay out of the foot a lot of times, contracts the heels, compresses everything into a smaller capsule that is continually developing. So not only are you trimming them down to nothing, you're taking the capsule, you're literally making it smaller. So that it'd be like you wear a size 9, but I'm going to force your foot into a size 5. That's what's going on with these horses. And of course, they think this 1 foot is the true foot they're supposed to wear. So it can't be the trim or the image that's put in my head. You know, it's got to be, well, not enough natural wear, not enough natural this, not enough natural food, blah, blah, blah. So, let's see here. And here's the thing. If you don't trim the toe back, if you let the toe grow, it seems like they're better. Because, and see, this is what Lindsay Satchel, I think, has come to this conclusion because the horses don't get as lame as when they were like this. See, but none of these people will ever admit to this, that the horses were lame, okay, and never doing well. Okay, that's why Rockley Farm does so good too, because they take these horses been being serial over trimmed, and they stop trimming them, and they just start riding them, and they just let their feet grow. And if you do that, no matter what the feet turn into, the horse still does better. Because when you're doing this prescription trim to make a foot look like this, okay, not only are you reducing the size of the hoof capsule from the back, but then as you start to chop the toe off, you know, Lindsay's motto is stop the chop. Okay, and she lets the toe grow. Well, she found out when she let that toe grow, horses don't get sore as much. They seem to be better, but she's still amputating the heels, taking the heels way, way, way down. So, so she herself has seen where there's error in this, you know. I can totally understand where she come from in that, you know. So, okay, so where are we at here? Gotta keep reading this. The concept of hoof mechanism and blood circulation and ground parallel coffin bone, you got to take heels down to make a foot be ground parallel, the coffin bone inside to be ground parallel. Natural hoof care, NHC, essentially functions as a criteria against any kind of horseshoeing and the so-called pasture trim. That was Marjorie Smith. Now, Marjorie Smith is the one that came up with the hoof guided method. I don't know if you've heard of that, but she also came to the understanding that you shouldn't trim these heels out like they were. She quit doing that. And so there are a lot of people that follow her method called, she's passed away now, but they follow her method called the hoof guided method. But I don't agree with it either. But at least she quit trimming the heels out. She saw, yeah, something's wrong here. Okay, so the so-called pasture trim by farriers, but those principles are in difference to the method of Dr. Strasser, not essential to the practical instructions of how to trim a hoof. The one and only criteria for trimming is the hoof shape of a wild horse. You see how that gets in your head? Because they're all preaching it. See? They're preaching it. This and this is it. That's the shape right there. Okay, so where am I at? The correct look. How's that? What? The correct look. This was in my head. I tried it from 2000. Well, I really didn't get introduced to this till about 2 years in. Okay. Up to that point, I just followed Genome Nick's instructions, which still There were some issues there, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. And so the one and only criteria for trimming is the hoof shape of a wild horse. The correct look, or more precisely, the structure of a naturally formed hoof. No, not a naturally formed hoof. This naturally formed hoof. This one foot, this one rear foot off a dead wild horse that died in a roundup by BLM and was given to Jamie Jackson in the late 80s, that he based his whole book, his whole trim, all of his anatomy, everything on. That was never peer reviewed. But I tell you, he was rejected by the farriers in 1993 when he come off with that whatever kooky thing that he taught that made Rich Clark think, I don't know what he was saying, but it seemed religious. And he said, Rich told me the farriers rejected it outright. Okay, so the correct look, or more precisely, the structure of a naturally formed hoof, is the direct result of the wild horse model, which again is this foot, this foot. Natural hoof care practitioners simulate wear on the wild hoof, which in return stimulates the natural growing patterns of the hoof. These patterns create the naturally shaped hoof. No, you created it by looking at this foot and then continually rasping on this thing by using their principles, the 30-degree hairline, bulbs on the ground, the whole works, until your horse's foot formed into something similar, which you've seen on my horse and which you've seen in the Barefoot Horse magazine, and which you all have seen all over the internet. Where are we at here? These patterns create the naturally shaped hoof, which is never forced upon the horse because it is developed in accordance with the individual appearance and disposition. So your horse has heels, and you're just gradually trimming everything away and down. See, you're not forcing it. You're just kind of molding it in that direction. So much BS. It says the correct look, more precisely, the structure of a naturally formed hoof, is the direct result of the wild horse model. Natural hoof care practitioners simulate the wear on a wild hoof, which in return stimulates the natural growing patterns of the hoof. These patterns create the naturally shaped hoof, again, this one foot, which is never forced upon the horse because it is developed in accordance with the individual appearance and disposition. I mean, this all sounds good when you don't know jack to begin with. This is easily lodged into your brainstem. Natural hoof care practitioners treat each hoof within the limitation of the individual appearance and simulate the natural abrasion which can be observed in wild horse country. Sounds good, but where are they headed? To this one image, this one image. Oh yeah, sure, this foot doesn't look like this one image yet, but that's the direction we're going to, treating it like a block of wood, and we can just mold it into this one image. See, this one image, that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. This is the image, period. And you don't realize how much this is put into people's brains. We see it in the group, how people look at horses with heels and they think they're the wrong ones. See, we see it all the time. It says, so it is in the natural hoof care practitioner's job to find out what keeps the domestic hoof from becoming a successful hoof like the wild model. What is it in my horse's foot that keeps it from looking like this? Do I need to take the heel down? Do I need to take the toe back? See? Do I need to trim off and bevel the heel or What do I need to do to make my horse's foot conform to this image? Furthermore, it is the goal to imitate the abrasion of the rough substrate and thus to produce high performance barefoot on a domestic horse is totally baloney. Totally baloney. All we have is more crippled horses. You know, quoted after the guiding principles of the double A. This is Jamie Jackson's deal. Well, the guiding principles I read in the end of his book, Horse Trek Lessons from the Mystic, are mystical and not scientific. The guiding principles, he says and claims, were given to him by a spiritual entity. See, that's really interesting. I had not read that. I've read this a lot. Okay? I've read this a lot. But now reading it again, I understand where it's coming from here. Quoted after the guiding principles of the AAA NHCP found in the American something other, Jamie Jackson, leave what should be there, naturally. Well, no, take only that which should be worn away naturally to force your horse's foot to look like this. This one foot, one single foot. So, and that is what is being done. That's what I did. And that's what's being done in the whole world. So let me go to this other deal here. Right here. This is Jamie Jackson, student, disciple, no heel, but now she's growing toe. I can understand why, because they don't get half as lame if you allow them to have some toe for a while till their toe gets too far out there. And then, that foot standing on the sole there, what happens is they can get another form of mechanical laminitis in the end. So don't agree with that foot model. I tried it and I have 9 years worth of documentation on YouTube and thousands of photographs showing that I did it the right way. Okay. I did it the right way. I did it the way they said. And my horse did not get better. He did for a while at first. Okay. But then he got worse. And you're going to find this happens a lot. They'll get better at first because their feet are all overgrown and huge and whatever. So you can take stuff off. But what happens to the foot is it starts reducing the overgrown size. And then it might get to just about the size the foot is supposed to be. But you keep taking foot off to mimic the wear of the natural horse so that we know from tack that the capsule starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. See? So, the anatomy that he took is all from that one single foot. When you look at the book, just a minute here. Let me stop this. And this was all done to our horses, people, one way or another. Whether you had a farrier do it, whether you had a barefoot trimmer do it, or natural hoof care practitioner, and not to criticize people that want to have a profession and do that, okay? But it's the fact that people have been misled into thinking that this is the foot they're supposed to put on every horse. And they'll say stuff, well, all their feet are different, and we don't. But yeah, but this image has been put in your head. And this is, and what the way you've been taught to trim down the heels or take back the toe or any number of things. There's a number of ways this is done. This is what is being done to the horse. And now, forced frog pressure, which is a major horse killer. forcing frog pressure by constantly trimming the heels down. Trims the heels out, makes the capsule smaller, all that. So let me see, what was I going to find? So let me get this book and look up a picture I want to show you. I want to show you the anatomy. Okay, let's see. Stop. Okay, is that pen? Do you see that up there? That's the foot right there. Before he cut the leg off. Okay. Now I want to, I've taken thousands of photos, right? So this foot here is a front foot over here. And on the front foot, he took the picture so that it was more towards the front so that you couldn't see the heel. Because when you see the actual foot, the front foot, you can tell that it is a rather long collapsed run forward heel. But on the back foot, he took it more straight from the side profile because the back foot didn't have any heels. And then in the end, he wound up taking these pictures all together out of the book because, I mean, look how stupid they look. Look at the leg. Is that a leg or a pastern or what the heck is that? No wonder that horse died in a roundup. How old was that horse? People think that these horses die young. No, these wild horse advocates follow them for years and years and years and years. And there's some really old ones out there. And so they're no different than us. They wear out, they get decrepit, you know, they can live a long time. So this was, to me, in my opinion, was a very old horse. So now just a minute. So that became the ideal model. And this is how I started drawing it. Right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's the foot you're supposed to put on your horse. See, this is how I drew it. And of course, we're going to take that foot and we're going to cut it in half. And then we're going to draw our anatomy based on that foot. Now look, he right here, you know what he says that is? He says that's a frog stay. That's because he didn't know what a frog stay was. And so this is a deformed foot. Look where the hairline is, clear down at the ground. See, no heels on that horse's foot. So he bases all his anatomy on that one foot. There we go. A drawing, people. This is not a real horse. Okay. This is a drawing based on the one dead wild horse's foot. What's more, what he didn't know, because he didn't know diddly, okay, is that coffin bone is distorted and deformed. See, we can look at coffin bones that aren't deformed. See how flat it is on the bottom? That was from all the anatomy being pulled down and shoved into here and shoving the coffin joint forward and pushing the coffin bone down on the sole. But because the horse was wearing its toe down, the toe stayed short, hence no heels, and yet a short toe with a steep dorsal wall, like what he thought he was seeing on the one horse he viewed at Litchfield. So this is what the anatomy of the barefoot movement is all based on, is the one dead wild horse's foot Oh, and here we have another picture of it. Just a minute here. Oh, here we go. That's what it's supposed to look like too. That right there. See, no heel, horse walking on its bulbs. As he told Leslie Emery, they have no heels. Flat as a pancake. There you go. That's what your horse's foot is supposed to look like. See, all the anatomy, everything based on one dead wild horse's foot. And of course, he's going to try and find feet that look like it here. Just a minute. See what else I got here. Anyway, you get the idea there, right? He took that one hoof, sliced it down the center, looked inside, and said, this is the anatomy. All the anatomy, everything based on that one dead wild horse's foot. Well, let's just look at a picture of a horse that has heels and the difference internally. You know, internal anatomy matters. Let's see here. Oh, oh, there. Okay. Okay, well, we'll start here. Just a minute. Okay, I'm lost. I just lost you. There's Zoom. Okay, I got it. Share. Okay, so the difference in the internal anatomy. Okay, now I wrote a bunch of things on here on what the difference is, but okay, so this is a dead foot he got, right? Well, here's a dead foot another farrier got of a wild horse. How come it has heels, right? Plus, it's probably a front foot. Why is it that we're putting a rear foot on all of our horses on the front feet? And here's the interesting thing. In his book, he says the front feet and the rear feet are different. Okay. But he's made the rear foot the model that we're forcing onto our horses. So let's just look at this here. Let me get the look at some of the differences. Okay, so obviously the hairline is up here and you got that much heel. Let's see. So you got this much dorsal wall. So that's the basic proportions here of that foot. And then notice the horn tubules. Pretty much in good alignment there. See? Okay, what about this foot? Okay, so according to him, no heel at all. Hairline down at the ground. Hairline at least 2 inches, if not more, above the ground. Okay, let's look at the frog stay. Now, he showed on that one deal that he's seen a piece of frog that went up like this. And he called it the frog stay. Well, here in this one, let me undo this. Okay, so the frog on this one goes like this. Like that. But on the foot in the that he drew in the deal where he drew a frog stay, it went like this. See, he didn't know what the heck it was. Okay. It went like this. It went something like this. And then a little piece up went like that. And he called that a frog stay. And of course, look at the thin, very thin frog. Very thin frog here. Very thin sole right here. Let's look at this guy over here. Here's the frog stay. Takes up the whole back of the foot. This whole thing is the frog stay. And the frog itself is pretty thick. Like so. So pretty thick frog. And then the sole is thick, has a convex sole ridge right there. And then let's look at the coffin bone. Let's see. We use blue. Look at the coffin bone here. It's bent here. And it's kind of worn out right there. And then it's rounded like this. What about this one? Well, comes straight down here. It's straight and long, and it has no bend in it. See, there's quite a difference in the shape right there. And what about the shape of the digital cushion? Oh, that's a good one. And in fact, that's what's going to be their downfall in all this, in how they have royally screwed up the anatomy. Now, let me explain what happens. He comes in, claims to do all this research that he measured, examined, and photographed first 107, then by the third edition of the same book, 250 and 1,000 feet. Nobody ever checks it out, assumes he did it, assumes he has all this data, and assumes that this is science. Well, then you have real people who would really thought it was science, picking this up and running with it, including academics like Dr. Boker. See, Dr. Boker is considered one of the main experts in the function of the foot. Okay, he hangs out with Pete Ramey and the Wellses, who are Strasserites, and other people who have sucked in this falsehood and run with it, thinking it's scientific. See, these are people who, if they would have ever been taught the truth, would have run with it. But instead, they're fed this falsehood, this fantasy he had. And so now they're promoting his fantasy that they don't know is based on mysticism, not on science, as he states in his book, Horse Trek Into the Mystic. They think it's science. No, it's based on one dead wild horse's foot that had the image of what he think it ought to have, because he didn't know. Okay? And so these are two totally different feet. Completely different. This one here is what most wild horses have. This is what they have when their feet are worn out, and probably why this horse died. This is a deformed, distorted coffin bone. This is a correct coffin bone. This horse had lots of sole and lots of frog and a correct frog stay. This horse had none. But now what about the digital cushion? Because that's where I started saying this will be the downfall. Okay. Well, let me show you here. The difference in the shape. The difference in the shape of the digital cushion, because the digital cushion gets deformed and distorted when the heels are trimmed out of the horse and the whole back of the foot is pulled down. So over here, the digital cushion, if I can trace it, how the shape it would be in the center of the foot would be like this. And the only thing that helps it retain its shape is the frog stay. is the frog stay pushing up between the bulbs and keeping that part of the foot up where it's supposed to be. When you trim the heels out, it strips the frog out, and it takes this frog and it pulls it under the foot to where it's like this, what you have right here, this little piece here. Then this, now again, this is the shape of it in the very center of the foot between the bulbs. If you were to slice the foot in half, well, it has deformed the digital cushion into this kind of a shape. It's quite a difference, wouldn't you say? So when you get to looking, now that we got all these people doing these dissections, especially since some people are really slicing and dicing these feet up in the center like this, called the sagittal section. Sagittal, whatever. Okay, you're really seeing these digital cushions in all kinds of different forms. Okay, whereas the rest of the foot, it'd be kind of hard to tell maybe that it's really, really deformed. Like, but what surprises me is how this foot's been sitting out there for everybody to see, and nobody noticed that it had a deformed coffin bone. See, let alone worn out in the toe. So what's happening now is the digital cushions, more shapes than you can shake a stick at. Is that anatomy? Anatomy is very standard, has a standard of general proportions and shapes. Like pretty much everybody's kidney, for the most part, is pretty much shaped like a kidney. That's how they can tell your kidney from your liver, thank God. Okay. Everybody's toes have kind of a general shape, your toenails, your heart, your spleen, your lungs, um, your joints, your bones, your this, your that. Everything has a general anatomically correct form. That's how they can tell if we both die at the same time. We have donated our body to science, and they got both of us laying there, and they got a room full of students, and they crack open our chest and pull our heart out. They're going to tell the difference if somebody accidentally pulls your liver out and my heart and try to say they're the same, right? So on the digital cushion, every shape under the sun. I mean to tell you, that thing gets molded, shaped, and formed, and forced, and deformed into more shapes than Carter's got liver pills. I've been collecting them. It's very nice of them to do all these sagittal sections so that we could see how many different shapes these digital cushions are being forced into. Because that, in and of itself, tells us something ain't right. Because that is not anatomy. See, no horse, no horse was born for this, for the hairline down here and no heel. But here's the thing, because horses could be in an environment where they would wear their feet out and it would turn into this, the foot, trying to think of good words to use here, because I don't want to use the word nature. If I could get away with never using that word again, I would do it. I spit it out. Ugh. Okay, just because it's a good word, but the way they've used it, no, no, thank you. Because nature is not God, and God is not nature. And what we have here is scientifically observable facts about a horse's foot, and that is that as a horse wears its heels down, the periopal band goes to work to grow over the frog and get thicker and grow around the foot to hold the foot together so that the horse doesn't step out of his capsule and he can still survive. That is all that's going on here. This is what you call an adaptation for survival. And so not the best thing. It deformed the horse's foot. This horse had very little soul and little to no frog. Say if you would have started slicing from the bottom and slicing up, you'd immediately run into digital cushion and frog gram. Yet on the outside, somebody could look at it and say, oh, well, I guess this is a healthy foot because after all, looks like brand X here. See? So that's what he did. He took this foot, then he cut it in half like this, and made drawings and put it in the book and said, this is the anatomy of the horse's foot, when it's not. What it is it's the anatomy of a, oh, what do you call it when things are deformed? There's a word for it. What is that word? Starts with a P. Does anybody know it? Uh, Not psychobabble. That too. Um, what's it called? Physiolo. No, not. What is it? Just a minute here. I had a book with the word on it. When something
Pseudo something.
pseudo, it's not physiological. It's just a minute here. Oh gosh, starts with a P. They use the word all the time. All the time. I got a mess here. I need to clean up my room. Oh, I found the book. Pathology. Okay? Pathology. Yeah. Pathology. I think somebody look that word up. What's that mean? See? Pathology. Just a minute. I'll look it up. Let's see. Where are we at here? Got to get rid of annotate. Let's see. Clear all the drawings. I mean, do you understand that doing this was not correct? That taking one deformed foot and then cutting it open and slicing it up and drawing a bunch of pictures and saying this is how the anatomy is and this is what every horse should have, maybe isn't the way to go.
I've got the definition if you want it.
Yeah, what is it?
The science of the causes and effects of diseases, especially the branch of medicine that deals with the laboratory examination of samples of body tissue for diagnostic or forensic purposes.
Aha, see. Well, I can tell you that this foot has nothing but pathology in it. See, and this was presented as the foot all our horses should have. And of course, this is the foot they're supposed to have, where the hoof capsule supports and maintains the true shape, form, and function of the actual foot of the horse. And um, so what happens then when you purposely are trying to make your horse's foot like this? You're trimming it into having pathology, disease.
So you would call the foot pathological.
Oh, absolutely. This
Yeah,
foot here,
yeah, yeah.
100%. Yeah. Now, it might have held, it was obviously holding together for the horse's survival, but that's it. The horse still died in a roundup. You know, it couldn't take the stress or strain or whatever happened to it. And I mean, we don't know. But the thing is, he presents it as the foot off a super healthy horse. Well, he got it when it was dead. How would he know? Right? And if we go to uh, YouTube and look up the Swedish Hoof School, Ove Lind, who is a guy from Sweden who traveled over here to look at the wild horses in the Great Basin of Nevada, he found them all limping around. They had pathologies, you know, because it was so dry that their frogs were cracking. I mean, it's like if you get a callus, how it can crack up into the flesh and hurt like a booger. Okay, so their frogs, he thought it was thrush, but what it was their frogs were so dry that they were cracking, and then the cracks go up into the foot and crack the skin. You know, the foot is covered with skin, and so they crack into that skin or corium, and it creates a wound. It makes the foot sore. You'd be foot sore every movement. It'd be like ow, ow, ow. And so that's what you see in his video. It's called desert thrush, because people go by what they know. uh so he managed to just walk up to a horse and pick up its foot and take a picture. That's how used they are to having people around him. Well, they were meant to be domestic. He's probably got memory, DNA memory of thousands of years of being used by men and having his feet picked up in the DNA. So when that guy comes and just walks up to it and picks up his foot, it's just like that horse just stands there. It's like really, really amazing. And so he snapped a picture of the bottom, and sure enough, the frog is just cracked, and dry and stuff like that. So anyway, so this is what's going on now. This is popular, and this is what everybody's believing, that this is the real anatomy of the foot here. I mean, do you see the difference in the shape of these coffin bones? Or is it just me? Here, I'll draw
Yeah,
it
it's
again.
there.
Yeah. Well, let's look at some more. Okay. Wild horse, Mustang hoof, Western United States. See all these pictures on the internet. Okay. Now, this, I think, was the front foot. Look at the heels. See them? Run forward. I told you he took the picture from the front so you couldn't see that heel in the book. So, by the time people are this mistaken, they don't even see it themselves and stuff, because there's other pictures in the book of some horses that have heel, and he doesn't even see it. He doesn't see it himself. He is as blinded as he has blinded everybody else, as he blinded me. See? And so all we're looking at here is this great concavity. Well, what happens when you bend the foot? It bends the bottom up into the foot. In fact, this is how you get navicular, because you're bending the whole back of the foot. Well, it's bending the bars right up into the navicular bone, you know. Now this is wild horse of the Pete Ramey that he got. Look at the sole on that. That don't look anything like that other foot, does it? Look at the frog. Holy Hannah. Look at that. Concavity. That's what we're all supposed to get on our horses. This is a 3-year-old mare, died in a cattle guard, that he got in 2005. Rear foot. Look at the sole. Look at the thickness of the frog. This is a dead wild horse up in Washington on a res. Look at the length of the heels there. Look at how the frog sticks to the heel. See there? You got at least 2-inch heels here. This horse had heels. This is a wild horse. That's the same mare, 2-year-old mare. Here, I'm just showing. Okay, this foot here, there's a perfect coffin bone. Here's one where the heels have been trimmed out and all the anatomy shoved under here. Look at the collateral groove on the commissures that run along the side of the frog. Okay, look where it's at here. Look where it's been shoved up to here. See how it'll shoved up the coffin bone here, causing it to rotate down here and wear the bottom of it off. This is exactly what the coffin bone on that one dead wild horse, that sagittal section, looked like. It's flat on the bottom. I think this is supposed to be this foot, but I'm not sure. But look at the difference. Of course, I can make this a little bigger. It's still going to be different. Look at how it's ground parallel. Isn't that special? This one is not ground parallel. Let's see here. This one here, see there? About like that. Well, I'd say about like that. Not ground parallel. It's not setting flat like that. It's like that. This one here, oh, looky there. We're ground parallel. The ground parallel coffin bone. See, well, yeah, you trim out the heels and smash the internal heel and you lower this. Look how short and stubby the coffin bone is. That's because it's got pathology. The whole thing is a pathological hoof. Let's see. And, okay, here's an example. Here's somebody trying to trim their foot into that. See there, who was advised by and paid 300 or 400 bucks to have Jamie Jackson give her advice over the phone. And so then she started growing the heels and the horse went sound. Of course, there's our deal. See what I mean? He'd find a foot that looked like that and cut it in half. Now look here at the coffin bone. Look how it's rounded like that. Not supposed to be rounded. Not supposed to have the tip looking all funky and beat up like that. That is not how a coffin bone is supposed to look. That is not how a digital cushion is supposed to look. That's not where the hairline is supposed to be. It's supposed to be high. As Casanova said, high in front and high behind, with the frog up off the ground. How thick can you have a frog if you're trimming the heels out and forcing the whole back of the foot down to the ground? You can't. That's why this horse has barely no frog, barely any sole. And of course, here's that example again. So this is how much of the foot is trimmed out, has been worn out of this foot. And so when you're forcing your horse's feet to look like that, that's how much of the foot you're taking away and trimming out. And that's how much you have to grow back in and replace. Here's a wild horse in Nevada, or no, Utah. He's got a hairline almost straight across, and he's got a super steep dorsal wall. You know, now we would look at that and say, well, that don't look right. Well, who are we? Okay. If this horse was in Greece, he'd be just perfect 2,000 years ago. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure all this out, comparing this x-ray with the x-rays of other feet and what was going on in the back of the foot. See? Why is it that they're not looking at the back of these feet? Now, this horse here, he's got cartilage that's turned into bone in the heels, which is what happens. I don't know what that was. This was a 3-year-old Mustang that, of course, they were trimming wrong. Look where the collateral groove, where that exit, where the bar is and everything. Look where it's at. Right here, shoving. See, here's the thing, too. They could not have a ground parallel coffin bone. They could actually have a coffin bone that's tipped up, and it's still wrong. Because just because you got a positive palmar angle, don't mean it's right. See, because you look at this horse. He's just got a slight slope. And there's our everywhere on the web. This is drilled into your head what's supposed to be on your horse. Okay, here's the front foot. See, but I'm convinced he don't even know. He can't even see it. Okay, he can't even see it. He's looking here. He's not looking here, but it was the rear foot that didn't have this long underrun heel that became the hoof model. This one. See? This is the one model. Well, what about this one? Don't you have all the barefooters going, oh, look at those run forward heels. Oh, run forward heels, run forward heels. Everybody's nuts on that. You know, well, hey, this was that same horse's front feet. So maybe collapsed, run forward heels are natural, right? Why not? See there? There's the rear foot. See, it's all contradictory baloney. Okay, so here again, there's the front foot. You know, why did he just pick the rear foot? Look here, functional form, enlightened equine. Enlightened. They're not enlightened, they're in the dark because this foot has been made to be the standard they're all trying to trim the horse's feet into. Then they're not even seeing, like when they look at this foot, they don't even see this heel here. Oh, it's just totally collapsed. But again, this is not the model. I didn't see it. I see it now, but I didn't see it then. And then, of course, you have stuff like this. You know, yeah, this is supposed to be the model, the internal anatomy. And of course, this is some other dead wild horse somebody found that happened to have worn its heels out and pulled the whole back of the foot down. We know that we can trim the heels out and pull the whole back of the foot down like that. This is Gene Ovanek's research. Okay, he saw that the horses he did had heel. Somehow, Gene Ovanek's research and Jamie Jackson's research got all mixed into the same bowl. But now I realize their research was very different. That doesn't mean that everything that Gene may have seen here was correct either, though. There's in January, February, March when I'm trying, just learned that I've been trimming the heels out, and here I'm trying to restore heel. But look at the back. See, I did not know then about the cartilages, how big and extended the cartilages truly are. Here's the foot that I bedded in salt and borax, and it made it very soft and movable. And so I was just moving and manipulating the back of the foot, kind of trying to understand what was happening. See how here it's kind of stretched out, but here I've bent the whole thing in. Whoa, wow, come to find out that really happens. See? And of course, there's the ideal model right there. The foot, look at the heel on that foot. See, there you can see the frog. But again, look how it's supported. As soon as you take the foot off of the base here and out from the buttresses, the back of the foot falls down. That's how movable it is. So now imagine that you trim these heels down to where you are making and forcing this to be pulled down. This here has to support that up where it's supposed to be. Doesn't look that concave to me. Oh, oops. I'm lost. Now this is the front feet. Look at this wild horse's front feet were distinctly different. Here you see the heel buttress supporting the back of the foot. That's it. My great grandparents. Okay. I resemble him, just so you know. Okay, well, anyway, now you know why those trims don't work on your horse's feet. Why you stay in a permanent state of transition, needing boots even in the pasture. But here's the thing, some horses adapt and seem sound and can even go over rocks. It just depends on the horse, you know. But that still does not mean that was the foot he was supposed to have. And in the long run, they're still going to have physical problems. Okay. Because their foot is not going to function correctly. Therefore, all the tendons, all the joints, everything going on up the leg, into the shoulder is going to be affected, which is why this has opened up a whole new profession, two whole new professions. Body workers? Oh, three. No, two. Body workers and chiropractors. Since when was that ever a real big thing? You know, it never was until barefoot. Now we have more boot companies, more body workers, more horses needing massages, more horses needing chiropractic. See what I mean? So, okay, well, that's all I got to share on that. Anybody have anything they want to say or anything they want to look at or study or anything?
I have a question, but I forgot it.
That's funny. Okay. Uh, how's your horse doing, by the way?
Thank you for asking. He's doing really great. I trimmed his back right the other day, and I've learned not to do all four at the same time, and he appreciated that. I
Good.
was soaking his feet during the first half of this chat, so maybe I can do the fronts. So I think I'm going to
Yeah.
do alternating pairs, diagonal pairs when I trim
Okay.
him.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I could do all four, but he's
Mm,
just sensitive at the
well,
moment.
yeah. I mean, uh, they probably all are one way or another. You know, I mean, it's probably different when you tack some iron and nails on, holding everything together. It's like Band-Aid.
I can't imagine how they survive that.
Well, look, they're not surviving barefoot very well, are they? You know,
Soon we will be.
soon they will be, yeah. You know, but as far as, you know, the teachings out there and what's going on, it's horrendous. Trying
Yeah.
to force horses' feet into this model and stuff, especially considering where it all stems from, you know. So, well, okay, that's all I have for today, unless somebody else wants to do something or wants to look at a horse's feet or wants to question or wants to talk about something.
Linda, I sent you a couple of pictures
Oh, okay.
uh, of a horse. It's not mine.
Okay.
I would die. Anyway,
Aw.
this is a horse at the barn where I am. done by a traditional farrier, never been done by a barefoot horse.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll let you look at the pictures, then we can talk about it.
Okay. Let's see here. Open a messenger.
So these are the kind of feet that I have to look at all the time. I mean, this one's
Jeez.
bad, but I
It
have to
is.
look at feet like this all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do anything. I mean, I already, my best friend wants me to do her horse. We have another horse that was a former boarder at the barn where I was,
Yeah.
that we've just moved her horse in. And I was talking to her. And so she's like, well, can you just do my horse's feet? And I'm like, I can't even have time to do my own horse's feet. But, so this is a, quarter horse gelding. Um, yeah.
That's
So
terrible.
this is a front foot. Now I trimmed. There was a flap from the apex forward that was just it was attached to the sides of the frog, and it was just so I just
Yeah.
cut that off, and I started to trim because I couldn't take a hoof knife to him because he's so sore.
I bet. Yeah.
And we did have the vet come and look at him, but I knew I couldn't put a hoof knife on him, and but he had lots of flaps when you look at the other foot, that's the back foot that doesn't have a shoe on it.
Yeah.
But when I started trimming that, I mean, it was just part of it is it's really soft.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
You're down
and
to
but it
corium and
doesn't
digital
look like
cushion practically there.
it doesn't look like frog. It didn't
Yeah.
cut like
It's
frog.
not.
It just I just said I'm not cutting anymore. And I took a hoof pick on the
Mhm.
right side there and just to pull some dirt out of it, and it bled.
Yeah. And it bled.
She said that he was just one step away from having canker.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
problem is he had a similar issue on one foot a while back that the farrier said was thrush. And when I looked at it, because I wasn't there to handle the horse when the farrier came, I said, this isn't thrush, this is canker. And
Mhm.
it had a little flap of frog, and I just grabbed that and yanked it off his foot, and he jerked his foot away from me.
Yeah.
And when I picked his foot up, it was bleeding.
Yeah.
So the vet did come out, but by the time the owner managed to call the vet and the vet came out, she just took a hoof knife over it, and it was thrushy, but it was in the same state this foot in, just not as bad.
Yeah.
Um, but if you look at the other foot, the back foot, which I had not done the other direction, so I
Oh,
haven't
it's
done
terrible,
any.
awful, horrible.
So I mean, he has. I told the vet, I said, "Where are his heel bulbs?
Yeah.
Where are his heel bulbs?" And then it almost looks the way it looks like. It looks like the back of the frog are his heel bulbs.
Yeah. Because, well, no, his heel bulbs, right. Well, where is it here? Just a minute here.
I mean, that's just the way it looked. The
Yeah.
consistency of the tissue looked like more like skin than it does like frog.
Yeah. His heel bulbs are right here.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, exactly.
And his frog is right here, which is supposed to be clear up behind a foot
Yeah.
over here.
Now
And
I took my bonsai nippers and nipped the ragged stuff off, like I did the front foot, but I just was afraid to trim anything else
yeah,
because
well, look what he's doing. He's taking the heels below the frog to try and
yeah,
force frog pressure.
he doesn't trim frogs. He admitted, he says, well, I don't trim frogs unless they're really bad.
Oh, sure, he doesn't have to.
And he doesn't trim sole. He
He's
just,
wearing them off.
yeah.
But look at the heel down here. He's taken the heels below the frog to try and force frog pressure. This is a common practice. And this is what was so devastating in Bracy Clark's day. Is this was common. This is what ended horses.
I
This kind
mean,
of deal here.
look at where the apex of his frog is.
Yeah, clear up.
And
Yeah,
it's so frustrating to me because I have to look at these horses every day.
yeah,
And
it would
anywhere I
be.
go to do anything, body work on horses or whatever, I still have to look at these feet.
Yeah,
And you talk to the owners about it and try to explain some of that, but they don't know what to do. They don't totally
Yeah.
understand. And I'm just like, and a lot of these are using barefoot trimmers, and they go, oh yeah, they leave heel and everything. And I go, yeah, no, not
No,
really.
they don't. Yeah. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible and getting worse. But you know what? It's going to get better because what we are going to put together, I guarantee you, you'll be able to take and just simply do a little survey with your owner and open their eyes
Yeah.
to what's really going on. This is what I got planned.
But then
And
our
so,
next problem is who do we get to do these feet?
well, that's it. We're going to have to start. You're going to
I mean, if
start.
I was much younger,
Yeah.
I could just step right into that opportunity and it wouldn't be a big deal, but I'm not
Yeah.
there, and I'm 5'1", 113 pounds. It's
Yep.
not
Yep.
like I can
There you
run
go.
horses anymore
Well,
either. So
maybe we can work out a deal where we can where we become the lameness experts that give instructions to the farriers. Why not? You know?
one day.
But then you have to get them to listen or to
Yeah. Yeah.
want to learn.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is the farrier that I had trimming my mare because I just couldn't do all three. And I have picked her foot up, put it between my legs and her front feet and trimmed
Okay.
them.
Well,
So I'm getting closer to where I trust her enough to let me do that.
yeah.
And I said, just, he starts at the toe to trim. I said, just before you get to that heel, I said, just don't trim her heels. But he
Yeah.
doesn't do a frog. He doesn't do her sole. I mean, I've just got to start doing her feet. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, see, but that's something I'll work on too. Some way to be able to reach through the maze to get to farriers. Because they are the most, I can't say no, they're not. We're all brainwashed. Programmed, brainwashed, indoctrinated, whatever you want to call it. Um, uh, it's funny because boy, a picture sure is worth 1,000 words, ain't it?
yeah.
See, um, and so they've just been led to believe certain things they don't see. They really don't see the reality of what's really there. And so that's just another thing I want to work on is what what kind of information could we present before them that would start to kind of open their eyes and help them see get out of that thing there, you know. So, how could it be presented to them? What could you do for them? Things like that. So we'll just have to wait and see, you know.
Well, in the meantime, I am using apple cider vinegar on his frogs to try to toughen them up a bit and some thrush treatment where he's thrushy. So,
Yeah, if he just quit trimming the heels, that'd help
yeah.
a lot.
Well, hopefully, maybe on his next visit and he looks at what they look like, maybe we can have that discussion.
Yeah,
Basically, the vet picked up his foot and she goes, well, they just look like crap.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like,
And the vets don't really
yeah,
know, you know, like why
but I
can't the
couldn't,
vet say, give a
I,
prescription not to trim heels?
I couldn't, I mean, I knew what was wrong with the horse. I was
Yeah,
pretty sure, but I couldn't tell the owner that because I'm not the vet.
yeah,
So I said, the vet was coming anyway. So I said, you need to get her to look at his feet. And so exactly what she said was what I thought. You
yeah,
know, so, um, yeah,
yeah. That he doesn't have canker. Well, these are first stages.
yeah. Well, that was her thing. She said the next stage here is he'll have canker, but it's
Yep.
in all 4 feet. All,
Yeah, because you're down to sole corium or you're down to frog corium. What's below that is digital cushion. See,
yeah.
that's right on the other side. So, yeah, terrible, terrible. At the least, shoes with pads, hospital plates, and treatment. Something like that.
Yeah, but this horse is, basically lame in all 4 feet.
Yeah,
You
I can
know,
see
getting
why.
getting around, pulse in all 4 feet. I
Did
mean,
she
that when
use
I first,
boots on him or anything?
he just has shoes on the front, and he's, when I first saw him, the first thing I did was take hoof testers and check to make sure it wasn't founder. You know,
Yeah,
and not that I'm great with hoof testers, but he was not sensitive over the coffin bone at all.
yeah,
So I knew that wasn't really going to be the
yeah. Well,
problem.
this poor guy's dead horse walking,
Yeah.
you know?
And he has kissing spine.
Oh, well, of
So
course.
yeah. So
Yeah. Well, if something happens and he goes, "Hey, whatever happens, I mean, you're managing a stable. What happens when horses get put down?"
we dig a hole and bury him.
Well, would it be available to get the feet?
I mean, I can ask the owner if that were the case.
Okay. Just say dedicated to science,
Yeah.
you know. Maybe they'll let you do that. Would you be able to do
I,
that?
you need to do a protocol for doing it so we know how to
Okay.
go about doing it.
Okay, I can do that.
I mean, when it comes to my own horse, I don't think I can do it myself, but I would
Yeah.
certainly ask the vet if she could do it at the time
Okay.
too. So,
And
but
you got to get at least up at that knuckle of
yeah,
the
up
what you
at the
call it.
fetlock.
Yeah, the upper. And
Yeah,
then would you be able to freeze them and then send them to me?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I hate to be that way,
I know, but
but
it's a necessary part of research.
yeah, I would really like to have some pathological feet like this. Because once you take all this hoof capsule and stuff off and you compare it to a regular foot, you're going to see it, you know. So, okay. Well, anyway. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I'm really sorry for that horse,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
like I said, that farrier does the majority of horses there. So, and the
That's too
one other
bad.
the one other mare that's done by a different farrier has just anyway. That's a whole nother story.
Oh, another story. See, isn't that ridiculous? This whole thing. And when this history gets put together in the way I'm putting it together, okay, it's going to be so freaking obvious, and what happened to Bracy Clark. See, this is the way I look at it. We're carrying on the work of Bracy Clark that never got revealed because of that wicked, evil guy, narcissistic piece of crap that ran that British school for 40 years. And we are continuing his work, and we're going to give his work that never had a voice a voice. Um, and he was a scientist, that guy. Okay. He was the first one to ever actually do experiments in this regard. Um, the way he did dissections, everything. And today you got all these people in all these groups looking like they're doing dissections. What they're doing is not science and stuff. First of all, they don't know what they're looking at, but it makes them look legitimate. See, because behind what they believe is Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse foot. See, that's not anatomy. See, when you're programmed with that, indoctrinated and programmed, and you can do it real easy. You take people who don't know nothing, and then you present some logical fallacy, all well-meaning, and come off like an expert. See, look at all the people who follow me on YouTube. you we're all lost, and social media has made it worse. Okay, has made it worse. Anybody now can put up their deal and be an expert. Anybody. So anyway, hopefully someday. Right now, at least we're doing something for our own horses and the few people that come to find us. But what I am believing is that I'll be able to put this whole thing together and get it so that people can use it in a usable system to be able to help people open their eyes, and then go to work, not marketing it for money, but marketing it to be heard and seen. You know, understand the difference? Anybody?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. You have to. I have never paid for a Facebook, nothing ever. But you know what? All these other people do. That's most of the things that come through your timeline on Hooves, they're paying for it to be put through there. So, well, okay. Um, that's all I have to say for today. Oh, it's a short one. We're getting out early. Hey, hey. These things have been so beneficial. I want you to know that I really appreciate you people, and very thankful for everybody that has supported this cause morally and things like that every other way. So anyway, if anybody don't have anything else to say, we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Thank you very, very, very much.
You sure?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You're
Thanks so much.
welcome, welcome. Thanks all you folks. Okay, guys, we will be talking to you next week. I
Have a
may
good
have
week.
some good stuff for you next week.
Bye.
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 Now, how do I get out of here? Let's see.